Hey everyone, hope you're doing well out there. We have arrived at episode 3, and this time, my guest was the wonderful and remarkable Casey Powell. We discussed what it's like being a full time musician, as well as explored the meaning behind our dreams, reality, and consciousness. I am so excited for you to be here for this very special episode, and I'm so very thankful to each and every one of you who has interacted or given feedback to the show in any way, shape, or form. With that being said, here's Casey Powell. Casey Powell,
What's up?
you are an audio engineer, producer, and professional musician. That doesn't quite do it justice, but we'll get to it. Seemingly wherever music is made in the city of Louisville, you are present and accounted for. You have music released with multiple bands, artists, and of course, in the form of your own solo work. I feel like it wasn't too many years ago, relatively, that you transitioned into being a full-time musician.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit about your journey from working a regular day job to becoming an independent, like full musician?
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like being like a musician or like freelancer or anything, it's like it's like playing like an RPG video game, but it's real life.
Right, right.
It's like you just kind of get hit up to fulfill a quest.
Yeah, side quests.
And
I
you
love
gotta
that.
just whatever materials you got, you
Yeah,
show up and do your best.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah. But you know, I feel like I couldn't really do it if I didn't like have a lot of different skill sets because
Mhm.
I play drums and bass and keys and guitar, I think.
I think so.
Yeah. And feel like if I just relied on one, I wouldn't have enough gigs to suffice
Yeah,
not clocking in somewhere.
yeah. You got to wear a lot of hats
Yeah,
for sure.
but it it's a lot of fun, but it is like I said, it's like a video game, so it's
Yeah.
like you're just kind of running around for coins.
Mhm. I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely love that.
It's like there's no stability, so it's just like you just got to be okay with not knowing
Yeah,
what's ever happening.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What are some of the aspects of being a full-time professional musician, audio engineer, content creator, etc.,
Mhm.
lots of hats,
Yeah.
that were only brought to light after your first year of going professional that you
Um,
didn't anticipate really?
I would say one would be like, um, sorry, could you repeat the question again?
Yeah, for sure. So, what are some of the aspects of being a
Yeah.
full-time professional musician that were only brought to light after like a
Oh,
year of being in?
yeah.
Yeah, ones that you didn't anticipate,
Hmm.
I'd say.
I would say just like how quickly things can just really change,
Yeah.
um, and just like impermanence and everything, where it's like, you know, once I was talking to my friend Pinky the other day about this. It's like once like you're like the show is over, it's like that job doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
And it's like
yeah.
you're kind of like going around doing a bunch of things that just like stop.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
no
then it's
kidding.
like, now what's going on? It's like, oh yeah, I got like 4 gigs at the end of the month, and then you do those 4 gigs and it's like, okay, well now I gotta get some more.
Right. It's like having you have the stable ground,
Yeah.
but knowing it's not gonna be there after those
Yeah.
4 gigs, and you're like, "Well, where's the next stepping stone I can hop to?"
Yeah. And it's like you can be like super busy for like long periods of time. And then like with that, it's like a venue could shut down. And then it's like, oh, that job doesn't exist anymore.
Right, yeah.
Or,
If you're running sound or something.
yeah. Or like somebody is like gets sick.
Yeah, that's right. And
And
somebody does they have, like, a throat thing and the singer can't
yeah.
do it, so
And then
the
it's
gig's
like,
up.
yeah, and that can happen the day of.
Oh my gosh. The instability of
Yeah,
that's crazy.
right. It could rain outside.
Right, yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then, but yeah, just things, it's just like nothing is predictable.
Yeah.
And it's like with both sides, because it is like also at the same, like, or the opposite side of the coin where you could just be chilling and then somebody's like, what are you doing tonight? And then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got one of the best gigs I've had in a while,
Yeah.
like all
3.
within one day. And then at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it doesn't exist anymore.
Right. And just the on-calledness of it.
Yeah,
You're just always on call.
always on call.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like there's definitely been times where like I've had like 2 or 3 gigs during the day, and then I get home and then I lay down and then I get another phone call.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
like, I can't say no to that.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
let's load everything back in the car.
Yeah. My gosh. So now that music is your full-time job, do you find yourself listening to as much music in your downtime still? Like I found when I started doing like audio engineering, like recording people
Hmm.
every day, and then as soon as they leave, I'm mixing it all
Yeah,
day. That I found that in the time I had away from that, I kind of used it for other things I cherish more
yeah,
instead of like I'm gonna listen to that album. But it's like
yeah.
after I just listened to hours and hours of music.
Hmm.
Did you find that when you started like going professional, or just when
Yeah.
you started doing it more?
I feel like with it, it's like I just have like very weird like listening habits,
Hmm. I got you.
or it like I sometimes like will be doing like sound and playing, so it's like a lot of sensory overload. But then it's like for some reason I'll get in my car and I'm like, I need more.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what's
I
the
feel you.
loudest song I can find?
Yeah.
But then also like there will be times where like I get in the car and then I'm like, I drive home without any noise. But yeah, I find myself listening to like white noise a whole lot, or like rain
Okay.
and what is it, like drones and
Hmm.
stuff a lot of times. But yeah, like I still be listening to music a whole lot, but um because of like the mixing and everything, I've figured out that I do have a tolerance for listening to the same song over and over
Right.
again.
Absolutely.
So sometimes, like if I find a song that makes me feel something, I
Mm-hmm.
run it into the ground.
Yeah, I've tried to be super careful about that. I watched Coachella this year, and I love watching it because there's always an artist who I'd
Hmm.
never heard of, and they just have the most elite killer performance, and then I
Yeah.
get to dive into their music catalog. And
Hmm.
there's one artist, and she absolutely killed it, and she has this new
Hmm.
single out. It's Sabrina Carpenter, and
Yeah.
she had this stellar performance, and I was like, I can't listen to that single over and over again. I found myself on like repeat like number 4, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't ruin the song for you because
Yeah.
I'll never come back to it. I like the song so much. I want it to be a part of my life for a while, and not because
Yeah.
I always do that too. I just drive it into the ground until I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to that again for a while.
Yeah. For real. I have such a bad, because like I'll notice that I'm doing it and then I'm like, hopefully I find another song
Yeah,
before this
really.
one starts losing its juice. And
Mhm.
then usually when that happens, then I go back to the white noise.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
also, yeah, I listen to music a whole lot when I bike too. And yeah, I do listen to music that I have to learn more than anything. If I'm
Mhm.
learning it or I'm mixing it, I'm still listening to that more
Oh yeah.
than the song that I'm wearing out
Right. Absolutely.
sometimes.
Yeah. There's that to be said.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what was your first experience with live music in Louisville? And I kind of want to know your first professional live music
Hmm.
experience and your first more DIY music experience, because
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you mine after you tell
Yeah.
me yours.
Oh yeah. My first show in Louisville, I believe it was over at Vernon Lane's in the basement, and I was like 16.
Hmm.
My high school band was playing there, and um, yeah, like a promoter from around town was throwing the event, and there's a couple other bands that are on the bill that like ended up linking with like years and years later when I finally moved
Hmm.
here. And but it was fun. There's actually like a lot of people, and it was also the first time I ever played a show after smoking marijuana. So
Oh,
I was like, whoa.
this is crazy.
I'm a rock star.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'm practically famous now.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was fun. Um, I'd say the DIY stuff. I mean, like I grew up in Shelbyville, so it's like, well, at least like when I was growing up, like the whole music scene there was just DIY. Like there
Yeah.
was no like music venues. It was like, hey, they're closing the street this day and they're gonna bring a band out, or like, hey, we're gonna play like somebody's birthday party,
Right.
or so it's like a lot. A lot of that was very DIY, but um, yeah,
I gotcha.
is all DIY for a while.
Gotcha. So you'd probably say your first, like some of your first DIY shows that you attended,
Hmm.
uh, and just as an audience member was it would be like in Shelbyville, like
Yeah.
way back in the day.
Hmm.
What about your first like seeing like first like pro band live, or like your first
Oh
like
yeah.
band that you were looking forward to seeing, or one that like played at like a
Hmm.
bigger venue?
I saw Blink 182
That's a good one.
and Taking Back Sunday and The
Yo.
Used.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
and I
That's
was in
awesome.
like second grade,
Oh
and
man, I would have
it blew
lost
my
my
mind.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the
Oh,
the funny thing, I forgot which band it was. Like, I think it. I think it was. I forgot. Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but it's like I was just a kid. Like my brothers liked one like Taking Back Sunday more than The Used, and the other one like The Used more than
mhm,
Taking Back Sunday. So it's like
nice.
I chose a side. I can't remember which one it was, but so when I was a kid, whichever band that was playing that I was not on their side, I was like, they just need to get off the stage
Yeah.
so my favorite band can play.
Yeah, that sounds like second grade.
Yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
I'd say my first show watching just like a big band perform was actually here in Louisville,
Hmm.
watching Alison Krauss and Union Station
Oh hell yeah,
perform at Louisville Palace, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this.
yeah.
But I was pretty young, so I didn't really I appreciate it as much as I would now. Like I know they like slap now, but like
Hmm.
watching it then, I was just kind of young. But my very first like DIY show
Yeah.
was I I think I was like in high school or middle school,
Hmm.
and I went and I tried to find this punk show that was happening at Chestnut House.
Yeah.
And I was driving up and down like the street to trying to
Mhm.
find like where the car is at, where's the music
Yeah.
coming from, and I found it. And I parked on the side, and there was like a girl like at a little like a booth
Yeah.
outside the door taking money. I went in and and Cadillac Young's band
Mhm.
Vader Bomb was playing,
Yeah.
and they were I had never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Like their vocalist was just like they were like hitting each other, and like there was like their vocals just bleeding from their face, just like
Hell
punk rock
yeah.
shit. It was awesome. And I was there to see Pianos Become the Teeth, which is like
Mhm.
a band that I was into back in the day. But
Yeah.
like that was such a cool like introductory into like
Mhm.
Louisville's DIY scene, was watching like Vader Bomb play, such
Yeah.
a legendary band. Uh,
Blood everywhere.
yeah, it was so sick. It was so sick. Uh, I hate to tell a story and then tell another one, but
Do it.
another early experience I had in Louisville was I was playing an open mic
Mhm.
at a coffee shop in the East End, and this older guy comes in. He has two guitar cases,
Yeah.
and he opens up the first guitar case, and it's this beautiful like Les Paul, brand
Mhm.
new, super polished guitar, and he plays the first half of his set, and it's like okay, it's kind of like timid,
Yeah.
and but it sounds okay, and he's singing,
Mhm.
and then he puts it away, and then he takes out this old like beater guitar,
Yeah.
and he like for the second half part of his set he just makes it sing the whole
Mhm.
time, and it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
at the end of his set, to all 12 people in the
Yeah.
room, he's like talking about he was there to teach like the philosophy about guitars, like relative quality and meaning. He's like,
Yeah.
listen, like you don't need to have a nice guitar to make great music. It's just like
Mhm.
it's about the player.
Oh
And like
yeah.
he he said that for like all 12 of us, but I like listened, and I've like
Mhm.
really brought that at home, like that
Yeah.
lesson that he's given us. And that experience has inspired this next question.
Yeah.
Uh, What do you see as the potential disadvantage of somebody who starts their musical journey with a U87 and a fully kitted out recording program versus the kid who starts with a Guitar Hero microphone with a sock on it and an old tape recorder? Like, how important is it to you that we learn to restring and repair the old busted pawn shop
Mhm.
guitar instead of buying a brand new Les Paul to start out?
Yeah, well, you get intimate with like what is happening
Mhm.
when you're using shitty stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's like you become painfully aware of what is doing what in the process
Yes.
because you're trying to build something and it's like, oh, it's not working.
Mhm.
And like if you can make something that traditionally doesn't sound good, which like also it's like with like having shitty gear, it's like not even like you still it's like the same thing as having nice gear.
Yeah.
It's just like a specific sound
Mhm.
because like, you know, you could my first band or one of my first bands, we were recording our EP with a garage band USB microphone
Hell yeah.
for everything
Mhm.
and it's like it has its own sound, but it's like
Mhm.
that's how we kind of like learned how to like, oh, it's like, well, now that we know what this sounds like, we know that we can get a better sound if we get more microphones
Right.
and stuff. And if you can make something that doesn't traditionally sound good, then it's like you can do anything you want when you actually have good gear. But also,
Mhm.
it's like when you get more gear, it's like everything has different problems in of itself. Cause like I've also like done things where like for my pedal board, for example, I still use the same delay pedal that like it was my very first delay pedal. It was my first pedal I
Same.
ever bought. I got it for $20,
Hell yeah.
and I just really learned how to use it. And it's like
Yeah.
I know I'm very intimate with all of its sounds,
Mhm.
and I can do it without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I was like, man, I've been playing guitar professionally for a while and I'm still just using this $20 delay pedal. I'm like,
Mhm.
I owe it to myself and everybody around me to get a nice delay pedal.
Yeah.
And then I get it. And I spent $500 on a fucking delay
You didn't
pedal.
even just go DD7 or anything? You just went
DD500.
DD500. Golly. Oh my gosh.
And then I'm like, all right, I'm retiring this $20 delay pedal. And then that one can't do the same things that the
Yeah.
other one can do.
It's like an extension of your body at
Yeah.
that point.
And I'm like, dang, now I got 2 delay pedals
Yeah.
on my board. But yeah, and it like if you got like a powerful enough spirit, like
Yeah.
you can put that through anything.
Absolutely. It speaks through anything. Like you can
Yeah.
be innovative with even like, yeah, absolutely. Any medium that you're
Yeah.
recording through, if you have the passion, it
Mhm.
bleeds through to the audience and they get
Yeah.
it. So, yeah, I like the last person I talked to was Don B and he talked
Mhm.
about recording into like a tape deck and like he would have
Yeah.
to like record it straight through hook versus
Yeah.
everything because you wouldn't be able to mess up and it was just he said it made him great and he's like
Yeah.
why he's like thankful for that and I'm super thankful
Yeah.
I started out with like really like USB microphones and
Mhm.
like just the bare minimum recording on my phone on
Yeah.
GarageBand until I could like get a laptop to record on. It all helped me understand the process more
Yeah.
intimately and yeah, really appreciate the obstacles and like appreciate what I needed and like yeah,
Yeah.
the limitations of what I had. And so I really you appreciate it so much more when you
Yeah.
get the new thing that
Mhm.
has like, oh my gosh, this like can run more than 3 plugins at once.
Yeah.
That's insane. And so
Yeah.
you really get to appreciate like what the new gear brings.
For
But
real.
I
And
absolutely agree.
you can go to other places and like just like take a glance at something, but you're able to see every detail
Yeah.
in what's happening in the whole rig
Hmm.
instead of being like, what do these buttons do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard a lot about newer guitarists. They just have everything pre-programmed, and
Hmm.
it's like not even running into an amplifier anymore. It's just like
Yeah.
it runs into like I think it's called like a Kepler or something. It's just
Oh
like,
yeah.
and it's that's getting into this new territory where
Hmm.
it's like I guess you we're going back to just foot switch and everything, just for
Yeah.
what per song, and like having an exact tone for everything, and
Yeah.
everything's kind of pre-programmed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they have you ever seen It Might Get Loud? It's like a
Uh
documentary with like Jack White and The Edge.
oh, I've heard about it and I've seen clips from it, but I have not
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah, I'd highly suggest it. It's a great
Yeah.
documentary on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, It Might Get Loud was a film for me that really brought to the forefront a lot of things about guitar that I knew I loved but couldn't really explain.
Yeah.
Uh, the same can be said about Pink Floyd's Live at Pompeii. I watched
Mm-hmm.
that like in middle school, and that like just blew my
Yeah.
brain. But that was in a different way. But is there a piece of media that made you look inward and made you
Mm-hmm.
learn a lot about music and like kind of see music in a way that you never thought possible?
I mean, I feel like I kind of feel that way with almost anything that I take in a
Mhm.
little bit, but um like yeah, I knew growing up like I did see like the Jimi Hendrix live at the was it Monterey Pop Festival
Oh yeah, and Live at
and
Monterey, that
yeah,
Red House performance,
yeah.
crazy.
I was like, "Whoa."
Is
And
that the one where he lit his guitar on fire?
yeah.
Yeah, whoa.
Yeah.
You can do that? What?
Yeah. So I was kind of like, yeah, like anything is possible. You know?
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, and just watching because like my dad's like a radio DJ, so like he was also playing a lot of music
Mhm.
all the time from like different decades and everything, and it would be like deep cuts too. So it's like I just pretty much spent a lot of time listening to a lot of music.
I gotcha.
And it's funny because like I'll be like, yeah, this song I don't know what the name of it is or who it is, but there's this song
Mhm.
that be playing in the back of my head and I'll hear it like, playing on different playlists or whatever, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's weird how like a lot of the media that I consume will be like, I don't know what this is, but it did have an effect on me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like what happens when you listen to an album
Yeah.
straight through, and you're not taking a look at it. It was especially when we had CDs back in the day. It's
Yeah.
like you wouldn't know the name of the song. You'd know every word, and you know it super
Mhm.
intimately. It's like, oh, it's like the fourth track in. It's amazing. I don't know the
Yeah.
name of it, but it's super good.
Changed my life.
Yeah,
but-
changed my life. Exactly. It's like never know the name of it.
Right.
So you play a lot of instruments, but
Mhm.
guitar was your first love, right?
Not for guitar's the last thing I picked up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. What
Um,
was the first one you picked up?
I started playing drums when I was like 5,
Okay, cool.
and
Wow.
I pretty much played just drums until I was probably like 12 or something. Then I
Mhm.
started playing piano, and bass, and then one of my friends let me borrow his guitar for a couple weeks, and I was just, plucking away on it one day, and I just realized like 2 or 3 hours went by, and it was like I was just lost in the guitar. So I
Wow.
was like, I think I need a little bit more of this. And so it's like I kind of got addicted to guitar
Mhm.
after that. But yeah, the first love was drums.
Nice.
But I honestly like was trying to be like a visual artist, like
Mm.
painting and whatnot before I even was like taking really any music seriously. And then yeah, I was just like, oh, I can use painting techniques to
Right.
create songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's why it's like I kind of play everything, but it's like I kind of look at it more as like one sound
Mhm.
sort of thing instead of um being more like, "Oh, I am a guitarist."
Right. Yeah.
But people just hire me for guitar more than anything.
I gotcha.
So it's like and anytime you get hired for something, it is also advertisement that you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. When you were learning to play, was there a certain moment, like, when you were picking up that guitar, like a certain riff you heard or something where you're like, "This is a rap, like, I'm in love with
Mhm.
this instrument"?
Not a specific riff as much as it was just like the feeling of like using your hands to create these sounds and how
Right.
it feels, and um it's like, yeah, creating the noise, because it's like, um yeah.
I gotcha.
That's, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Let's talk about the first love. What were some of the first drummers that you really looked up to that really
hmm
inspired you?
Mitch Mitchell was one of the first ones. Um, and then like John Bonham
Oh yeah.
growing up. And then when I was in middle school, I started listening to Mars Volta.
Oh,
And so Thomas Pridgen
that band's insane.
destroyed my life.
Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. So mainly, yeah, it's like mainly Mitch Mitchell and Thomas Pridgen. And then when not this wasn't too much like growing up, but I was still like 17, 18.
Hmm.
JR, John Robinson from he played like on Thriller and Off the
Oh
Wall.
yeah.
Dude's got a mean pocket.
Oh yeah.
It's like he's got a way of just like playing as simple as possible, but matching everything without
Mm.
overplaying. And it's like all intentional with each hit. And it's like I feel like all those three definitely shaped my drumming a lot, but I I also don't want to say that like I don't get hired to play drums a whole lot, so
Hey, hopefully this can kind of put that
yeah,
out there.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mainly do studio drums, so it's
mm,
like,
session work.
yeah,
Yeah. But live drums is a blast, though. I
it's
mean,
so much
yeah,
fun.
it's a great time. You just
Yeah,
sit there. You don't have to worry about is it on. It's
yeah. You
it's all
hit,
there. You just hit it.
you
Yeah,
hit drum.
yeah, exactly.
No chords, no
No,
theory, but you are time.
you are. Yeah, I heard the other day, and I that yeah, somebody say like a band's only as good as their drummer,
Yeah,
and it's like yeah, I guess so. It really
yeah.
does. You have to have a really solid drummer to really
Mhm.
hold everybody together. It's like
Yeah.
the rock of the band is the
Mhm.
drummer.
Yeah, because you're also controlling everybody's dynamic too.
Absolutely.
Because like you can say that you're controlling your dynamic, but it's the drummer.
Yeah,
Like if the
absolutely.
drummer's building up, you're gonna start building up.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Every cue you take from the drums,
Yeah.
first, like so, even before the vocalist, sometimes you just
Yeah.
like I'm locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what was your first favorite genre? Would you say of
Hmm.
music? Like, what was the first one that just by happenstance or because you really felt something towards
Yeah.
it?
I I would say it's like kind of like a tie between like rock and pop music. Um, I go with rock more just because like as a kid, that was kind of like what I was more obsessed with, like punk bands and
Mhm.
classic rock bands, or just like interesting stuff, like indie bands, or like shit like the Mars Volta, where
Yeah.
it's like this is rock, but it
Mhm.
is also a lot of other things, like
Yeah.
um, but yeah, because like when like I was a kid, I had like one of those like Walkman CD
Mhm.
players, and I pretty much just had like the Hendrix Experience, and then the Who, and then like Sum 41.
Yeah.
And
That sounds exactly like all the ones I listened to.
yeah.
Yeah, those were the ones. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Uh, have you ever encountered an instrument, be it like a guitar, drums,
Mhm.
bass, that seemed to have like a personality of its own, or like a unique resonance or character that influenced your playing or the recording decisions, like during a
Uh,
session?
yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like I mean, I kind of look at like instruments like pets almost,
Okay.
where it's like I feel like all instruments kind of have their own personality, but you do gotta like find the spirit.
Yeah.
It's like just like with like a cat, where it's like
Hmm.
that cat doesn't like getting scratched on behind its ears, so watch out for that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of times when I record, I take a lot of that into consideration, like what the song's about,
Hmm.
um, the texture of the song and everything. It all like colors what instruments, and like, because like I have a couple of different guitars, but each one does have their own personality and their own vibe, and
Mhm.
um, anytime I pick up somebody else's guitar, I'm like, I can feel their stories a little bit,
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, it's like I feel like every instrument kind of has its own thing you got to figure out, and um, yeah, that it because like when I'm recording stuff, I'm pretty intentional about a lot of that. It's like, but I do tend to use like my main guitar pretty much for everything, but it's mainly because I'm like, this guitar
Yeah, it's your
has,
guitar.
yeah, and it has a wide range of sound that we can pull out from it, and yeah, but um, I will switch out guitars, or like ask to like borrow a friend's guitar if a certain song needs a certain like
It calls for
spirit
it.
to it. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your main go-to guitar that you go?
Stratocaster.
Stratocaster.
I got a American Standard
Nice.
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Nice. What do you find like the difference between the Stratocaster and like the Telecaster is for you? Like
Um,
what do you think makes you more of a Stratocaster guy?
uh, a lot of what I'm gonna say will probably piss some people off.
That's okay.
Like,
That's okay. That's quite all right.
but it's like uh Stratocasters are just so much more versatile than
Yeah.
the Telecaster, and the Telecaster is fire. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like say anything slanderous towards
Yeah.
it because it's still a Fender,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the Strats, you can play so many different styles
Yeah.
and it
You can
sound
play like
fluid.
metal on it and then
Yeah,
blues right afterwards.
yeah. And then the Telecaster has its kind of like stamp sort of
Hmm.
thing where it is a lot more twangy,
Yeah.
which can lend itself to some cool stuff because like the Strat isn't as twangy as a Telecaster, but the Strat, if you know how to play it, like you can get a lot of twang out of a Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just mainly the versatility, and I just like the way it feels.
Yeah.
Um,
I love how the neck feels on the
yeah,
Stratocasters.
and
It has this very just inviting energy to
yeah,
it.
I
I don't
know.
know. I don't know how to describe it. And all my favorite guitarists like have used it. Like David Gilmour is my
Hmm.
favorite, and he's always been a Stratocaster
Yeah.
guy. I think John Mayer goes Stratocaster,
Hmm.
and I just grew up like watching them, just like
Yeah.
playing the best music I've ever heard in my life, like
Right.
on those instruments.
Yeah. It was eventually Jimmy that converted me because like when I first started playing guitar, I was a Les Paul guy,
Okay.
and I used to not even like Fenders. I used to like talk smack about
Oh, you're a
Stratocasters.
hater.
Yeah, I was a hater for a minute.
Stratocaster is the hater on
Yeah, I know.
Stratocasters. Wow.
But then it's like the character development
Yeah,
of the
that's a great.
Stratocaster
That's
in my
like
life.
anime level character
I know.
development.
I'm
Like
like,
you're a
if I,
Vegeta, and then now you became a nice father.
yeah,
It's-
yeah. So I'm like, man, and like if I don't like something and then I end up really liking it, then I like it extra because I'm like, man, I did not want this from the
yeah,
beginning, and now it's the thing that saves my life.
yeah. It's like you have this respect for it. Like
Yeah,
it's like even though I turned my back on it, it was there for me, and
yeah,
it still allowed me back in.
yeah. She was just waiting for me.
Exactly.
And I was like, sorry. But yeah, like I broke I was having a, what is it? Rehearsal. Yeah, what
Mhm.
are those things
Yeah.
again? But I was rehearsing in a music store and I was playing my Les Paul and the string broke on it like they do on Les Pauls.
Yeah.
And I um went downstairs and I just like grabbed a Stratocaster and I was like, let's see what this is about.
Hmm.
And then I was like, these songs sound a lot better
Yeah.
on this
You're
guitar.
like, let's see what this guitar's talking about. And it
Yeah.
started talking, and you're like, oh
Hmm.
man.
And also the guitar that I played that made me want to play guitar was also a Stratocaster that I was borrowing from my friend.
Mm.
And then I gave
Oh,
it back to him to get a Les Paul.
wow.
I know, and I'm like, man, yeah, the Strat is the reason why I play.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great guitar.
It is.
How has In what ways has your relationship with your instruments changed as you've matured both personally and professionally? Like, how's it changed from when you were learning those Jimi Hendrix songs in your
Mhm.
bedroom to learning like hour-long sets for festivals?
Uh, yeah. So learning songs growing up was hard.
Yeah.
It was very hard because I always try to learn stuff that is also like way too hard for me to play as a way to try to get better. Because I'm like, if I can learn this song, then I'll definitely be able to play this other song a lot
Mhm.
easier.
Mhm.
But I just kept on doing that. And then when I kinda got into the habit of doing, because like, also, like, with the thing of, liking a song a whole lot and then, like, listening to it until it's, like, destroyed in your mind, one of the final steps of that is learning it.
That's a fact. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh.
because like, sometimes I'll be like,
Yeah.
"Man, I'm running out of juice with this song." I'm like, better learn how to play it
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
learn all the chords and how to sing it. And then I get some extra juice out of like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
From
I'm
deconstructing it.
creating the song. The
Yeah.
song is flowing through me.
Mhm.
But I just kind of got in a habit of doing that a whole lot. And then when I moved to Louisville, like literally like my first gig where it was like I had to learn 2 hours of music in a week. And like it was honestly like not that bad. And I was like, wow, I guess I have been practicing just learning songs fast, and
Yeah.
then they paid me to do it, and I was like, "Wait, you can make money
Yeah.
off of this thing?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, hold on, I gotta make some different life decisions
Yeah,
now."
no
Like,
kidding.
I gotta figure out how to do that more. But, um, yeah, it learning songs for work does have a different lens on it,
Mhm.
but it's like, uh, when I learn songs for myself, like I will use any moment of free time to like spend learning this song because I just want to play it.
Mhm.
But then when I'm playing for other people and have to learn it, I do that ADHD procrastinating thing where I'm like, well, I guess I know how to learn songs fast, so I might as well learn them right before I
Yeah.
need to play them.
That way it's fresh.
Yeah. And then also there's like stress of like, I have to play this right.
Yeah,
And you have to
that's
do
right.
it now. But and then that just kinda helps when you're sitting in and you're playing songs that you've never heard before for the first time live, and it's like live learning the songs because I get put in that situation a decent amount of times where,
Mhm.
"Can you play this one song?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got you," and then like 5 more songs, and I'm like, "Oh, man, I wish I knew this song, but Imma feel it out."
Yeah, just feel it out. Which
Yeah.
I feel like you've gotten to a point where if you were just put on stage with a random band and then they just started playing, you could kind of feel it out just like your
Yeah.
way through it. It's just like if you were not on the same page at all,
Mhm.
like you could just hear the bass and be like, okay, there's the chord
Yeah,
or
that
the
has
keys.
happened a lot of times.
And that's a huge like flex to be able to do that. That's a really great like a part of your like tool belt. Just be like, if I need to, I can just kind of feel it out. Yeah.
Yeah, it has definitely helped in a lot of situations.
Mhm.
But yeah, and it's also fun when you can find other people that can do it too.
Yeah.
And then it's like a weird, like, oh, we all just subconsciously learn this song.
That's crazy. That's awesome. What would you say is the most counterintuitive lesson you've learned from either guitar playing or drum playing that has profoundly impacted your approach to music?
So counterintuitive, like something that's like just
It
wrong.
it didn't it did it doesn't seem right, but like it didn't seem right at first, but then once you learned it, you're like, of course, like
Oh,
yeah.
mainly just like I would say with a lot of stuff, it's like more like the is it like esoteric type stuff
Mhm.
where when we're playing music, it's like we're not, it's like it's a lot more than just playing music. You're controlling people's emotions through
Yeah.
shaking the air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that stuff can get overlooked because it sounds like woo
Yeah.
and everything,
Mhm.
but it like just like the philosophy behind it where it's like a lot of times I've gotten like way better at guitar from not sitting down and practicing a scale, but just like philosophizing. Is
Yeah.
that a word?
Yeah, it is.
Just like the meaning behind playing and whatnot, and bringing like their appreciation
Mm.
to the craft. And like it does sound like counterintuitive to be like, hey, practice your scales and everything, so it's
Mhm.
like your body knows how to just do it without thinking, but also like be thinking about music when you're not playing. Like the music never really stops. It's
Yeah.
just a rest, you know.
Mhm. I love that. That's awesome.
But like, yeah, because when I teach people lessons, um, I feel like sometimes I can go off on a tangent on
Mhm.
something, but it is like this is almost more important than, you know, knowing your theory and whatnot, is like knowing the feeling and like everything that comes, because it's like we're playing music. It's like
Mhm.
we're expressing emotion, and
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, you got to just like funnel it through
Yeah.
what you're doing. And a lot of ways to do that are definitely some like, you know, weird things. Like I notice like sometimes like I'll sleep with my guitar in my bed, and that makes, when I play it the next time, I'm emoting a little bit better. you know.
Interesting.
And you're adding more love into the whole thing, because it's like that's honestly what people are hearing when they're listening to your music, is what you're putting through it. And um it is like, some that's why, like somebody gets their heart broken, and then it's like all of a sudden their songwriting goes through the roof. It's
Mhm.
like there was no practicing involved. It was
Yeah.
just having lived experience. And
Absolutely.
that's the most potent thing to put through the medium.
Mhm. That was beautifully said. I love that. I
Thanks.
love that. Love that. The music never ends. It's just a rest. It's just a long rest. That's
Yeah,
awesome. That
yeah,
I
because
gotta
we're
get it.
playing music right
I
now.
gotta
We're
get
just,
that on a trucker hat.
yeah.
It says that full like sentence.
Yeah.
So speaking of philosophy, reflecting on your journey, how has wearing like both like the hats of like a musician and audio engineer shaped your philosophy towards like music and sound?
I mean, it just a lot, because it is like all one experience.
Mm.
um, and being able to see deeply into each avenue, where I can just be like, like when I'm just a guitar player on a gig, I can like see, like how the microphones are set up, or like how like the cables are ran to certain things to
Yeah.
diagnose like quick problems, because it's like, you know, when you're playing live, I look at it more like, like you're in a battle of some sort,
Yeah.
because it's like when you're, in a battle, like if your arm gets cut off, it's like you can't just be like, all right, hey, pause.
Yeah.
Let me fix this real quick. It's like,
Yeah.
it's everything is still, you got to continue saving yourself
Absolutely.
through it.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like learning and knowing like more like the sound stuff helps for like when I'm playing a show and then something wrong is happening. Uh, it's like more of a reflex to be able to fix it.
Right.
Um, Instead of being like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah,
It's
the
like,
magic thing that happens is stop working. Yeah,
yeah, it's
exactly. You
like,
know exactly. You've like looked at the layout beforehand. Yeah,
yeah.
so you can kind of diagnose real
hmm
fast like what happened or what may have happened, and then go to fix it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I noticed this thing is facing that thing. If I hear this later, that's probably the culprit.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's like, with like keeping the emotion going, it's like when you're performing live, it is like you got to make sure that your faucet is on with the
Hmm.
emotion.
Yeah.
And technical difficulties can turn that off real
Real
fast.
quick. An audience is so sensitive and to that.
Yeah.
Especially like of course the musicians in the audience, but the audience
Yeah.
just in general, like there's some things you can hide from them, but not really much at
Yeah.
all. They can sense as soon as something's going wrong, or
Mhm.
if somebody on stage feels uncomfortable, even they can
Yeah.
sense that like to
Yeah.
a T, and then they reflect that emotion. So it's like just mirror neurons from the audience
Yeah.
from the stage. It's like
Mhm.
whatever they're projecting out, they're gonna give right back to you, pretty much.
Definitely. And like knowing all the different like, you know, things that like that allow, because it's like sometimes like when you're first getting into it, it can be like kind of overwhelming and add to the stress.
Hmm.
But then it's like when you realize like this is just going to be how it is, you just, being okay in the chaos.
Yeah,
And
going with the wave, or yeah,
yeah.
pretty much.
And that alone, it's like, you can take that way of thinking and put it to anything if you
Yeah,
can do it for a
absolutely.
live show.
Yeah, yeah, it reminds me of some stoicism, like,
Mhm.
Marcus Aurelius can't control the things that, or don't worry about the things you can't control,
Yeah.
it's like, but the of the things you can control, you can
Mhm.
just have your mind kind of at ease, knowing like
Yeah.
I've controlled the things I can, and everything outside
Mhm.
of that, I can adapt to it if it comes, but
Yeah.
there's no need to like stress and worry about like what if, kind of just
Yeah.
let it just succumb to the
Mhm.
situation and adapt
Yeah.
accordingly.
And because like, um, getting upset in those moments doesn't necessarily help anything.
Yeah, not at all.
And it's like, but it is the easiest option.
It is, yes, I agree. How has your approach to creating music changed now, since we're like living through this technological evolution that's like
Mhm.
exponentially changing?
Yeah.
I one of the last times we really like talked was like outside of your place, and we talked
Mhm.
about like what if like theoretically you knew everything there was to know about music and all the tech stuff,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Yep, I know it all." You said, I posited that towards you, and you said, "Well, you'd wake up the next morning and 10 new things would have been invented, and you would no
Yeah.
longer when you woke up, you'd no longer be the person who knew everything. You would
Yeah.
now, because all these things continue, we
Mhm.
all these new things keep coming out. Like,
Yeah.
how is that, like, have you kind of just stuck to what you feel like works, and or have you reached out and like grabbed certain things, like I'm curious about what this does, or
Yeah.
I'm kind of open to this? Like, how is this crazy evolution in technology
Mhm.
changed like the way that you record music and you make music?
I I love it, honestly. Like
Hmm.
cause like I just like to learn a whole
Hmm.
lot, and especially about stuff that I think is fun, and I think music is fun, and I think that it's also fun that like it's always evolving. So it's like
Hmm.
there's you if you think that you've gotten your mind blown, it's like, well, wait a little longer.
Yeah, just wait till tomorrow.
Yeah. So it's very inspiring, honestly. And then it's like it's because like I'm kind of like a maximalist at heart. And so having all these options is a lot of fun. And also having ADHD allows me to actually dive into a lot of this stuff because it's like, oh, that looks shiny. Let's check that out. Oh,
Yeah,
and that's shiny too. Let's check that
yeah.
out.
And you can kind of separate the stuff that's really like fundamental versus
Hmm.
the snake oil kind of stuff. That's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is just like a version of this with like a cool UI on it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I do try to like, when I find things that I do like, try to like hone in on them. So I'm not just like, you know, woo, look at everything. It's like, but
Yes,
what have you
exactly.
made?
Yeah, yeah.
Next question. No,
Mhm.
but uh, yeah, um, I like listening to new music and like hearing the new techniques. I do like kind of like stick to a specific way of doing stuff, but I'm always like trying to figure out how to improve all the different parts of it.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's super fun. Like I love being able to like just Google any question that I have,
Yeah, I
and
love
I
that.
I like having infinite tracks on
Mm.
my computer.
That is something, yeah, and when we mess up, we don't have to throw the 8
Mhm.
track away or throw the tape away. We can just
Yeah.
press delete.
Yeah. boom.
Yeah, it's gone.
Deleted.
I always I always mention it's like bands, back in the day, they would go to the studio and they'd have to buy the tape. And if
Yeah.
somebody messed up, more oftentimes instead of like just going over it, or they would say just you have to buy a new reel. And so
Yeah.
it's like that was the trenches back then.
It was
It's like,
real hard.
Yeah, it was real difficult. I mean, you guys had to be like on. Now it's like you bands going to professional studios and they're like, I'm still kind of writing the solo part for
Yeah.
this, but while everybody's kind of tracking, I'll just like finish it up. It's like
Yeah.
kind of it can be that mind state instead of being like everybody just locked in like for the performance.
And I do try to keep, because it's like with that too, it's like I'm also a perfectionist, so I do try to do everything in one take. But like I'll end up like chopping some stuff here and there. But it is like I do like I like writing in the studio. I mean, that's pretty much the only time I write is in the studio because I live in a studio. But I do like if I'm like gonna book something out, try to like just have everything super tight. Just because it's like I do like having the options of infinity and everything, but it is like, yeah, use it when we have to.
Right.
And like not get too glued to it. But yeah, I'll be just jumping back and forth, I guess, mainly between being like super old school and then like, yo, we are in the future.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when it comes to quality of life stuff.
Yeah.
Like going back to just initially being able to press delete instead of throw out a tape. Like that is quality of life stuff that just helps you continue being creative and not have to have these obstacles that would just kind of impede that.
Yeah,
process.
keeping the faucet on.
Yeah, keeping the faucet on, exactly.
Yeah, let that sink in.
Ooh. In your experience, what was the most subtle yet impactful change you made in a mix that you feel like most listeners wouldn't notice but made all the difference to you?
Let me think about that. Sometimes it's just like something little that like, you know, I I I do try to like if it's not bass related, like rolling off the sub, like pretty heavy on everything. And that like you could do that to like you can mix everything great and then like it feel like a little muddy and then you do that to everything and then it's just like wow, now I can actually hear everything pretty clear. That's like a thing that I feel like I pretty much do to like almost everything. That is like very subtle but to me makes like a giant difference.
There's a lot of information in the sub. Like rolling off like the low end on like a bass guitar.
Yeah.
Like I just did a mix where I did that and I was like, oh my gosh, it like is no longer conflicting with the bass drum anymore.
Yeah.
And it's because the bass and the bass, they often, they share that same area. And like, it's like there is a lot of excellent high end information in a bass. And it's like actually a lot of the bass tone and stuff that we hear that's like, ooh, that's awesome. Like in the song you did Demons, I believe, that bass has like excellent high end on it. Like, oh my gosh. And it's like, but it has that low end perfect on it, but it's like, it has so much expression through it. It's not just like, we've heard those just like fat squash, like bass, where it's just like all just low end and it's not, you're not really getting that high end, but there's so much excellent information, like that high end information.
And going back to like the gear stuff, it's like, I recorded that with like the shittiest strings on a pretty like not good bass too, but it's like tone is in your fingers.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is.
And like trying to like also what I was saying with like the old school stuff, be like, yeah, if you play it right and you play it good, you should like not really have to do too much stuff in the mix.
Right. Yeah.
For the most part, it's like, yeah, like on that song, like I know I compressed it.
Yeah.
Took out some of the harsher frequencies, but it is like my bass is so fun. I got like a 5-string Squire bass with pink strings that are like old.
Just dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
But it's like if you if you use your fingers, you can get some high end out of it.
Yeah. You can still get some out of there.
Yeah, use a little bit more of the tip of the finger. But
Yeah.
But yeah, the bass though, it is always like you got to make sure nothing's fighting it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For it to cut through and sound good and be clean, and a lot of that is from playing. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter what guitar you play, and it's like as long as you can, it's like, because like most of the mixing is within your hands.
Yeah,
is like how you're playing it is like the initial mix
yeah, no
on
kidding.
what you're recording.
And photography and videography, they call it, or videography, they call it like fixing it in pre.
Yeah,
Like just making it like, just
Mhm.
make sure what you shoot is good. It's like never have the mindset of like, just fix it later.
Yeah.
No, like the source gotta be
Yeah,
the truth.
That's the beginning of your signal chain, because like that's the thing where it's like you got your mind and your body and your instrument as one. It's like you can use a USB microphone to
Oh yeah, and
capture
it'll
that.
sound
And
kick ass.
yeah, it's like you can fucking like take out a flip phone and record on
Yeah.
and probably be like, wow, it's like that made me cry.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, yeah, you can not know how to play and have the nicest microphones, and you're gonna hear very clearly what you don't know.
Yeah. Speaking
Yeah.
of like that kind of limitation, like, is there a moment you can describe where a limitation in the studio turned into like a creative breakthrough
Mm-hmm.
at
Well, I
any
mean,
point?
I do try to put limitations on stuff, because if I don't, then I'll
Just keep going.
I'm like, I got infinity tracks, bro.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I got all the time in the world, but I'm like, I'll start trying to find like the soul of the song, and then if I find it, then I'm like, okay, parameters.
Right.
Like,
Is that like how you decide like a song is finished?
Mhm.
Like by placing those limitations, and once we've gotten to those
Yeah.
limitations, then it's like then we know where to end the song.
Yeah.
Would you think without the limitations you just keep going and it's like the song's never finished?
Oh
Or
yeah,
there's a
definitely.
Just definitely.
There's so many songs on my computer that are never gonna be released.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a limit on them. I'm like,
Right.
the limitation I put on it is that there's no limitation. I'm like, and those will probably never be released.
The ones when you open up the Logic project, like you just hear the jet engine starting.
Yeah, it's like the
You can
project
cook an egg
crashes
on your
before.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't even open before it crashes.
Oh, that's good. That's when you know it's a good one.
Yeah.
You have to have that buffer size all the way up.
For real.
So, how do you translate the energy and spontaneity of a live guitar performance into a studio recording? Like from the outside looking in, if it's like
Mhm.
someone's like, I was talking to some guitarists the other day who are like, they're kind of newer in a band. Like, I really like playing live guitars, but like, and they said they felt this disconnect of going on to a metronome. And they
Yeah.
felt like this disconnect because like they love the organic feel of
Mhm.
like when you're with the drum and you make that eye contact, you just
Yeah.
know you feel it. And then they were like, oh, when I just started recording and I feel this kind of disconnect with the metronome. Like, how do
Mhm.
you translate that, or how would you answer that question for somebody who's
Yeah.
like, I feel this disconnect there when I hear the
Mhm.
metronome and there, it just feels kind of robotic and I
Yeah.
can't turn the faucet on, as you would say.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of things that I do, it's like, uh, one, after like living in the studio, and like practicing a whole lot, I've kind of become like desensitized to the metronome. So it's
Mhm.
like the metronome is now more of a feeling inside of me than it is like
Right.
a bing, bong,
Yeah, yeah.
bong, bong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's all like a different like kind of meditation sort of thing. And
Mm.
also where I was saying, it's like once you got like to like really bring the emotion out of a song, it's like you have to know the soul of the song. And when you can tap into that, it's like you should be able to just like bring it out at any time. But then it is like you do kind of got to do certain rituals or whatever the whatever the fuck you call it, but
Yeah.
to get into like certain mind states with it. But I it is a lot easier live, because it's like live, it's like, you know, you're getting an adrenaline rush,
Mm.
and like it's loud and it's fun and it's only happening that one time. It's like a moment in time. So also with that, it's like you're kind of overlooking like all your little mistakes that you make. So it just feels better. It's like you
Right.
might be playing the same way that you are in the studio,
Right.
but it's just not as fun.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
like and then also you're listening to your mistakes back, and that can kind of crush like your momentum.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a practice, and because it's like every sort of part of the music is it's like an infinite practice in of itself. Where um, when you tap into like finding the soul of the music, and then you can harness that, um, you can, it doesn't matter if you're playing and nobody's listening to you, like you're still like in it, and it's like you kind of got to be alone with it at any time. It's like, um even if you're in the studio, it's like and there's a met going on, it's like you still got to feel like alone with the song
Mm.
because it is like you and your performance. And it's like playing live is a good like practice, but it is like, more fun and
Yeah.
like woo
Yeah.
instant gratification, like you do something fun live, 10 people are gonna be like, yes,
Yep.
you're immediately like reaffirmed
Yeah, you
and
get the
like I am doing
validation
the
immediate.
right thing.
Yeah.
But then it's like a lot of time you're recording and it's just like you and another guy alone in a room, and they're like, you know, the dude recording hasn't slept in 10 days. And
That's
then
so real.
you gotta like pull out like,
Yeah.
an amazing performance. But it is like, yeah, you just gotta like anytime I'm playing guitar, it's like I have to be like, yeah, I'm playing guitar right now. I'm having
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah.
This is cool.
Mhm.
Like, I could be on an Excel document because like
Yeah.
I don't like to do that.
Mhm.
And anytime I'm playing guitar, I'm not doing that.
That's true.
So it's like a lot of times when I'm in the studio, I will just be like thinking about that, and then also like pulling the same energy out and then thinking about what the song's about, and just kind of keeping like as much as less blockages in the way as possible. But um like yeah, you gotta it's like that's more of a like you gotta build in your internal like confidence up, and like not like confidence in like the way of like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing, but like just like you know you know that everything's okay.
Right. Yeah.
Like that metronome is not actually hurting you.
Yeah, it's not hurting you.
It-
That's
you
great advice.
don't need to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
It's there to help you.
It's not there to judge you.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
yes,
like
I feel like when I very first started, I just got this feeling that like, yeah,
yeah,
when I very first started recording Metro,
hmm
I felt like it was judging me or like,
yeah,
yeah,
because it is the truth.
it is the truth.
It
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 is.
it is
Yeah.
you that
Mhm.
is the problem if something
It's
is
true.
off. It's not the
Absolutely.
metronome. But it is like with it being the truth and it being it's like brutal honesty.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's like you can grow the most from brutal honesty,
Mhm.
but it is like, it's kicking your ego a little bit, which is also good.
Very good. Yes.
So it is like, yeah, you just gotta be one with the metronome,
Yeah.
one with the process, and feel like try your best to like tap into the feeling of like you're having fun. It's like,
Mhm.
studio stuff is a little bit more work and more arduous and
Yeah.
whatnot, but it is like you're playing music, and it's like this is like literally a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
and yeah, just like yeah, just kind of getting used to like everything is okay, and it's
Mhm.
like this is the truth though. It's like when you hear it back, you are hearing what you played back,
It's true.
but it's
Yeah.
like just look at it as like I didn't kill that. Let's do it again.
Yes.
And until we get it. And if I can't get it tonight, I'm going to go home and practice until I
Mhm.
can.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and we'll do it probably in one take.
Mhm.
And it's like, it will be painless.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, that metronome can't hurt you.
Yep. It's there to help
It's
you.
like, but
It's
you're
your
choosing
guide.
to suffer.
Yeah. I love that. That's excellent advice. I'll have to use that next time I hear something like
Thanks.
that. So I'm curious to your approach to this. This is an audio engineering question. I had this conversation with this excellent photographer, Malcolm Taylor at
Mhm.
Louisville the other day. Um, I hear about and have experienced audio engineers, and this is like going back to the guy who hasn't slept in 10 days. But and you being that guy sometimes.
I've definitely been that.
Yeah.
I'm on both sides.
Yeah, you're on both sides. Absolutely. So I hear about audio engineers who project themselves onto the music they are recording for other artists that changes the desired outcome of that artist's
Mhm.
original intent, if you get my meaning.
Yeah.
How do you maintain objectivity during the tracking and mixing
Mhm.
process with different artists, ensuring that you're enhancing instead of influencing
Yeah.
the final result?
I mean, I just continuously ask questions.
Mm.
I'm like, do you like this? Is this what you're going for? Would you like it to sound different? you know,
Mm.
but also like I before I start recording people, I do try to say it's like if I am the one doing it, it is going to sound like me
Yeah,
because I am doing it.
you're
It
right.
is like impossible for me to
Mhm.
be
Even on
not
the level
me.
of even if you weren't recording any of the instruments yourself, or like
Yeah.
if you weren't playing any of the instruments yourself,
Yeah.
if you were just given like they sat down with the guitars and everything, they
hmm
tracked everything. Yeah, you still have that kind of Casey Powell sound
Yeah.
on the overall mix, I
hmm
guess.
And like I do try to it's like if I'm working with somebody else, like really try to figure out what they're looking for and like also like a lot of that comes from being able to like read people's body language and
Mm,
stuff because it's like sometimes somebody might not know what they want but they don't know how to voice that they don't know what they want
yeah.
and then also if they're in that moment if you're like what do you want what do you want what do you want then they're
Mhm.
just going to get stressed and then the
Yeah.
song isn't going to work
Mhm.
but like yeah just trying to make sure that like I can see the end product before we start,
Mm.
making the journey to it.
That can be tough though, yeah,
It
because
can be
sometimes
very
the artist
tough.
doesn't know the end product.
Yeah, for real. And it's like you are like kind of like raising a thing together when you're
Yeah.
creating a song with somebody and it's like yeah, like going back to like the first thing it's like you just don't know what's going to happen at any time.
Yeah.
So it's like there's been times where it's like, yeah, I'll start making something and then it like is going in more of a my direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like after it's like that for a second, I'll be like, is this what you want? And then,
Mhm.
after a minute, it's like, actually, no. I'm like, okay. And then like being cool with just being like, delete.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
It's like, I did just spend a lot of work on crafting that, but if it's not what they want,
Yep. Let it go.
especially if they pay by the hour, but, but
Especially, yeah.
um, yeah, it is like a delicate process though, but I do try to
Mhm.
work with people that like know what they want a little bit better or like
Mhm.
I work well with or they're trying to do something that is similar to what I do. Yeah,
Mhm.
so it's like easier to get there cuz like I can, you know, make a lot of different things, but there's the thing of like
Right.
should I be the one doing this cuz like sometimes it's like with that, it's like I'll know it's like the best decision is for them to go to a different person.
Mhm.
Where it is like, oh, if that's what you want, it's like I can do this, but this will be take longer. But like
Right.
this person, it's like this is their bag,
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
go hit them up. Or like same thing where it's like if I feel like I can't do something in the style that they need, on like a certain instrument because like mainly keys because I'm like I can play keys but like I'm not like a key player
Right.
because I'm like I got friends that are and I'm like all right yeah we should bring in this person because they can make your vision come to
Yeah.
life
Let's get
better
CJ
than
in
me
here.
yeah
Yeah.
for real
Yeah. I I always just listening to you talk, I just realized, yeah, it's like I guess with artists who I guess it really is about the client, the
hmm
artist you're working with. because I definitely have people I've worked with for years now, and it's
Mhm.
just there's such a great chemistry. They
Yeah.
walk in, we know what to expect from each other.
Mhm.
But it's definitely I love working with newer artists who like I like
Yeah.
being this like first stepping stone studio for them,
Yeah.
where it's like there's not a lot of pressure. It's not like
Yeah.
a business first environment. It's an
Mhm.
art first environment,
Yeah.
and so they can feel comfortable making mistakes and like being in that learning process while also being in a studio environment as well, so they don't
Yeah.
have like this pressure. And so I've always I think mainly with recording vocals, I stay
Yeah.
pretty stoic.
Mhm.
I don't offer anything unless they ask a question.
Yeah.
Usually, I don't do. I will do like a what do you think of that?
Mhm.
And does that sound good to you? But I would never dream of like I because of all the horror stories I've heard. I
Yeah.
would never dream of being like take that again. Like if suggesting to take again. Like
Mhm.
always leave it up to them. But as soon as like there'll be a gate that opens up as soon as they ask, well, what do you think of that? Or like,
Yeah.
and it will happen. Like, and so
Dun,
let
dun,
them,
dun.
yeah, let them come to you with the question.
Yeah.
And so that's the point where you've been invited into the door
Yeah.
to like, what would you do in this situation? Like,
Mhm.
with that they're unsure of, and they're actively seeking you out. So that's usually where I go with that.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a lot of double assurance when you're like recording instruments.
Yeah.
There's got to be a lot of just clarification. Like, this is
Yeah.
this what you're looking for? Does that
Mhm.
sound good? Because you'll hear something and it's like you don't want to, especially with like if I'm getting a 2 track with
Yeah.
vocals, like, and I'm just doing vocals, like a lot of things can be
Mhm.
redone or taken, and it's not a big deal. But like
Yeah.
if we do a whole part and it's like, oh, there's like 2 measures missing from this drum part. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, we have to
Mhm.
like go back, and it's a big deal. Like so you got to clarify all the way. But
Yeah.
if I have a 2 track, it's usually not as much pressure to make sure everything
Yeah.
is like perfect.
And two, like I feel like when you're engineering or producing or like, playing music or supporting somebody, it is like a whole like it is more like they're, hiring you to protect them in a
Yeah.
way.
Right.
It's like I need to make it over here, but I need to be safely
Hmm.
carried over there. And then it's like, okay, cool. It's like I got the skill set that can protect you.
Right.
But it is like that's the objective is getting them from point A to point B. And
Right.
it's like you can't be like completely being like, hey, this mission is actually about me now.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's like you have to ensure their comfortability through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, it's like you were saying, it's like you kind of got to get invited in to get
Right.
there
Hmm.
with, just because it's like I know that like I have a lot of advice to give people, but I'll notice or before I like try to give it, I'm like, is this advice on getting them to where they want to be, or is this advice getting them to sound more like me?
That's very real. That's very
Yeah.
real.
And I'm like,
Yeah. Am I
that
guiding them
sound
up on the mountain, or am
yeah.
I like stopping at the gift shop first and like
Yeah.
showing up like this I really like this thing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. It's
I
like this is
identify
my
with it.
favorite backpack.
Yeah. Let
It's
me
like,
tell
what
you
does
why.
that have to do
Yeah.
with anything?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, yeah.
Uh so when you're up 10 days straight, when you're so busy,
Yes.
you're living hour by hour, which
Yeah.
I know you have and I do sometimes. It's just like you look at the schedule and you just like
Mhm.
just trying to make it hour by hour. Just
Yeah.
what brings you peace during those times? Where do you go, and like what brings you
Yeah.
peace when you're living hour by hour?
Deep breathing.
Deep breathing.
Yeah, and just kind of keeping it going. Like, cause uh, I'm more of like a momentum person, where if like it's going, then I can keep going. But it's like
Mm,
I can't like go stop, or like if I'm chilling, I am just chilling,
yeah.
you know. But it's like yeah, when it's the longer like days, it is just like just being aware with my body and everything. Like,
Hmm.
am I getting irritated? Am I getting irritated because I haven't drank water, or is it
Mm,
because I have to pee, or
right.
or is it the environment I'm in, or is it like that I've been going hour by hour by hour? But um, yeah, like making sure I'm checking in with my body and being like, am I holding like uh like tension
Yeah.
anywhere? Um, am I ignoring like
Mhm.
things that are going to help my body be able to keep going through the whole day. But yeah, that's like the deep breaths and then the checking in with the body brings me a lot of peace. And then also it's like I like to make jokes and so it's like I'm always just kind of having a party in my head.
Mm. Awesome.
So it's like those things be bringing me peace through
Mhm.
all this stuff. And generally, when I'm doing a bunch of stuff, it's because I'm fortunate enough to be like doing a bunch of stuff with people I like to be with. So it
Absolutely.
is like good to be like, I'm busy as fuck, but like I'm going to different places where people appreciate what I'm doing and I
Yeah.
appreciate what they're doing.
Yeah.
So it's like I am creating the time to, you know, help push this rock over this hill.
Yeah. And be appreciative that the people you're pushing that rock over the hill with are your friends,
Yeah.
and the people you respect and they respect you
Hmm.
back.
And that's peace in of itself.
Right. Absolutely. How has your practice of meditation influenced the way you perceive challenges and conflicts in life?
I'd say like I'm a lot more calm about everything. Like
Mhm.
I was on the phone with my friend the other day and uh this I was trying to pay to get out of this parking garage and it was like not accepting my card and I was just like talking to him on the phone. I was like, "Man, I'm so mad right now." And he's like, "You don't sound mad." And I'm like, "Well, I guess yeah, I'm just really patient."
Yeah.
But it's like bringing patience and like the thing where I was talking about with like being able to check in with my body and like um it just like helps just like not get caught up in the chaos
Mhm.
of, cuz like music is just chaos business. It's like
Yeah.
everybody is like living in their own world and trying to bring their world into this world
Yeah.
and we're all doing that with like entertaining people and whatnot. So it's like there's a lot of like, you know, like chaos that
Mhm.
just is the industry. Um, but it's like, you know, finding out how to like, just be sitting in peace through it all allows you to make clearer decisions and, or I was saying it's like like there's a problem going on. It's like getting mad or upset isn't gonna fix the problem. It's gonna make you less likely to make a clear decision. And
Yeah.
the meditation definitely helps me just be like, not get like somebody could like blow up right in front of me, and I'm like,
Hmm.
how are we gonna fix this?
Yeah.
Like, what do we got to do? It's like that. It's crazy.
That's next level stoicism right there.
Yeah.
Like I like seeing it like those things like hiccups during the day is like a challenge from like the Stoic gods
Yeah.
in a way. It's just like, what do you? How are you going to deal with this? And it's like
Yeah.
I'm going to deal with it by not getting emotional about it and like think
Yeah.
about it logically.
Yeah, and also now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know why using somebody blowing up was my first
Yeah.
like thought. I was like, what's something crazy?
But something that happens every now and then that
Yeah,
just ruins my day sometimes.
yeah. And I think honestly, if someone blew up in front of me, I would probably be like, yo, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
maybe
But
have more of an emotional reaction.
yeah, but I wouldn't like I notice like when like something crazy happens, I am immediately trying to figure out how to solve it,
Mhm.
instead of like run away or my fight kicks in.
Yeah.
But it's like trying to stay calm in the fight instead of just like running away and freaking out or like hitting it head on without like a game plan.
Mhm.
um but yeah, just overall just being able to be calm and clear and concise with decisions and general life
Yeah.
stuff and being in tune with my body because it is like um playing music is, your mind and your body coming together with an instrument to create, an experience.
Mhm.
And, the practice of meditation is definitely like a practice of getting your mind and your body together
Mhm.
and, keeping the fluid motion
Yeah.
going.
And we deal with that motion and like the emotions and just like dealing with the consciousness of everyday life
Hmm.
consciously and subconsciously. When we do it subconsciously, we seem to have some of that bleed out into our dreams.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering, what do you think the harmony between dreams in reality is, as you understand
This
it?
is about to be a long conversation.
Please.
um, so I feel like, you know, everything is reality in a way where, when you dream, it is like you're experiencing like, uh, life,
Hmm.
but it is abstract life. It isn't our, you know, you know,
Yeah.
oh, that's
Tangible
gonna act
life.
that way. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like if I did that in a dream, like it could probably like turn into a fucking balloon or
Yeah.
something, and then it's like, but it's like this reality is like physical
Hmm.
and less abstract. It's still super abstract, but it's like we're only viewing what physics work on Earth,
Right.
because it's like
There's
different
there's
planets.
laws
Yeah, yeah.
here.
And it's like we have oxygen in our air.
Stability.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of like things that like are happening that we're just not cued into. Like,
Hmm.
you know, we're we probably don't know how to experience the storm going on Jupiter right now, or
Right.
like what is happening there. But
Hmm.
it's like um we're always brought back to our Earth
Yeah.
and our grounding. But your dreams are always like kind of testing you in a way, but it is like, you know, it's chaos in like a different way where it's like, you could be a different person in your dreams too.
Mm.
Um, but it's like you can really find out what you're thinking about the more you tap into what you're dreaming. And you can it's like, an endless well of inspiration,
Hmm.
and you can test things out in your dreams too if you uh, become lucid within them.
Mm.
And being lucid within your dreams too is like an awareness practice where if you practice being aware, um, it bleeds back into everything. It's like
Yeah.
you learn how to be aware in your dreams. It can make you more aware in real life. And um you know I feel like dreams, um they they can really tell you a whole lot about how you feel, because it's like I I be having very very vivid dreams almost every night. So
Hmm.
like I just be like waking up and being like, hold on, let me decompress from this world I was just
Yeah.
like,
Emotional roller coaster you just went through. Yeah.
yeah, for real. And like you can like I have stress dreams a lot, like too, about like just like playing music and like everything going completely wrong. So it's like that's
Every guitar
another
string breaks.
thing where it's like it helps me be calm in like regular life, because I'm like playing a show and it's like, oh, there's feedback. Okay, yeah, we can feasibly fix this.
Yeah.
Like,
Last night, my guitar turned to dust in my
yeah,
hands, and
yeah,
this is way better.
right. I was
Yeah.
like, um, in the dreams, it'll be like, uh, oh yeah, the drummer's drumsticks are now on fire, and there's a monster we have to fight now. And I'm like,
Mm.
this is significantly more stressful
Yeah. Yeah.
than fucking feedback in the monitor.
Yeah.
But I also try to, with like awareness and the practice of it all, like with your dreams and like music and meditation, they're all like similar avenues for your mind to like really figure itself out and explore and just get a greater sense of calm in your life. And you can like a thing that I practice is meditating in a lucid dream, and that can like it wields different results every time, but it is like, that's also the meditation practice. It's like you can't have expectation about anything,
Right.
and dialing into your dreams, it's like, yeah,
Mm.
you will not expect none of that
Yeah.
shit that happens in your dreams,
Mhm.
but being able to like withstand unexpected stuff and like just, you know, being okay in the chaos of it all, it really does a whole lot for just assessing problems and, you know, your own and everything, and
Mhm.
brings just like calm to your life and yeah, lets you know more about yourself.
Yeah. And sometimes what you said before, it can be so unexpected, and almost
Hmm.
unexpected seems like too less of a word, like not as harsh of a word. I'd say almost like I feel like everybody can relate to saying sometimes the things they dream about seem almost foreign.
Hmm.
Do you feel personally like when we dream that we stay within our personal well of consciousness, or are we tapping into something else, inviting
Hmm.
something outside? And of course, we could talk about consciousness.
Yeah.
Are it like when you have an idea? I've had this thought
Hmm.
before. It's like if you've ever had like a great idea and you're like, it just kind of comes to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, that's brilliant." And
Hmm.
it's so brilliant that you're like, "I don't need to write that down." I like that's so I know in my heart that's so
Hmm.
good. I resonate so well with that. But then it floats away and you don't
Yeah.
write it down. You're like, "Oh no, I," and it's lost, almost as though it didn't belong to you in the first place.
Yeah.
I've entertained
Hmm.
those thoughts, but I'm curious. Yeah, what do you? Well, we'll bring it back to dreams.
Yeah.
When do you think we're within our own conscious pool, or are we inviting other sources to
Hmm.
kind of interact with our conscious state or subconscious state
Yeah.
when we sleep? Do we get any interference?
My personal subscription
Mhm.
to with like the beliefs
Yeah, it's all
surrounding this,
theoretical. Yeah.
yeah, is I subscribe a little bit more to like the collective consciousness thing,
Yeah.
and it's like, we're kind of like self-aware raindrops falling back into it,
Mhm.
but it's like, you know I do feel like, because like we aren't our thoughts either, um so it's like none of your thoughts ever belong to you.
Mhm.
And they're also not you. They're not anybody. They're just the things that you get to observe.
Mhm.
And I just kind of look at like a lot of the stuff kind of, it's like, you got like a stream going through your head.
Yeah.
And it's like these thoughts are just like those things floating on the stream, and it's like you can reach out and catch it and bring it back, but it's
Mhm.
like, ultimately it's like, you're taking it out of the stream, and it's like then you're like focused on this thing instead of being focused on what is. And like when we dream, in my opinion, it's like, just like a lot of like experience of like randomness from the collective, where it's just like,
Mm.
um you know let me think of how to say this. Just like yeah, it's like we're just kind of like observing all of these things, because
Right.
it is like, even with the collective consciousness and dreams and, life and meditation music, it's like we're not any of these things. We're just observing, you know what is happening in front of us, but it's like, we just got the one viewpoint,
Mm.
most of the time. Because like I've also had dreams where it's two realities at the same time, not related.
Mm.
But it's like I'm observing both. But it's like kind of after I had that dream, I was like, wow, it's like everything is like a lot more like, one-sided, uh just from our viewpoint.
Yeah.
Um
Forced subjectivity.
yeah, it's like, we're, one side of a coin in like this experience that is infinite.
Yeah.
It's like just one point in infinity.
Mhm.
And it's like that is also like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, because you are part of it, though, it's like, there's no separation between your mind and the environment, and there's no separation for real between. It's like, the boundaries that we put on things are like just observations to make it make more sense in our life,
Mm.
because it is like,
Mm-hmm.
we'll say like, this chair is separate from this table, but it's like, this is the environment.
Right.
And everything
You
is
still
just,
call an atom as
yeah,
one thing, but it's separate parts
yeah,
about that scale. What we almost illustrate, like about that
yeah,
distance so far away, but it's still one thing.
yeah. And it's like, with everything actually just being a part of whatever the fuck it is,
Yeah.
you know, it's like freeing in a way, but it is also
Mm.
like, you can just like feel okay in it, where it's like, yeah, this is just one big party.
Yeah. Just surrender to it a little bit.
Yeah. And trying to I'm honestly doing good, where I'm like, usually like I lose my thought process really fast, and I'm like, oh, this is like one of the first times I've lost my endpoint when I started talking. But yeah, I lost that thought that I didn't have, that wasn't mine.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. You just observed that thought, and you're like, I'll remember that.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, there's no separation between the beginning of the conversation and the end of the
Yeah,
conversation, because it
exactly.
is just a conversation.
Right.
And the conversation is the environment, man.
Well said. I love that. Last thing on dreams.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced a dream that presented you with a melody, rhythm, or concept that you translate into a real world
Hmm.
composition?
Yeah.
That's never happened for me, by the way. I've heard
Yeah.
people say like, I heard it in my dream, and then they go and I've never.
Yeah.
Dreams have always been this emotional experience with other
Yeah.
people, like
Hmm.
a very human thing with lots of either like fear or
Hmm.
love, but never music in that way
Yeah.
where it's like presented with me with a melody. I'm
Hmm.
curious if you ever experienced that.
Yeah. Like, it's happened to me a lot, but every single time except for one time, I've like either woken up and forgot it by the time I got to my guitar, or I pick up my guitar and I go to play it, and I'm like, okay, this is what my hand was doing
Yeah.
in the dream, but it was not making this noise. I'm like,
Right.
it was
Yeah.
just like just playing random stuff, but then it's
Mhm.
like different sound than what it would be on the fretboard.
Mm.
But there was one time, like, I was dreaming that I was like in uh, one of my apartments just trying out amps. And I just had like a bunch of amps that were like Renaissance paintings in
Whoa.
my house. And I was just like, dialing the knobs and
Mhm.
stuff. And I was like, wow, these amps are beautiful.
Yeah.
I like the detail on all of these is like immaculate.
Mm.
And um, so I was just like playing around with them, and then like I was also listening to a radio at the same time in the dream, and there a Prince song that I'd never heard before started playing on the radio,
Mm.
and it was about one of my friends, and since I had my guitar with me and I was playing through an amp, I was like, let me try to learn this song, and I started playing around with it. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then I woke up and then I was like, hey, I remember what chords I was playing. Let's go to the guitar. And it was right.
Mhm.
And then I wrote it and then I recorded it and I gave it to her for her birthday. And I
That's
was like, hey,
beautiful.
here's
I
a
love it.
song that I think I wrote. Well, like, my subconscious view of Prince wrote this song, and then I learned it and then brought it back.
I love that. That's so cool. Do you have do you have a certain, what would you say, just simplified, what would you say your philosophy is like on life, like that, just like a
Mhm.
simple philosophy that you could live just to pass down to somebody that you would say?
I'm gonna say it just because this was my first thought, but I'd say my philosophy in life is just like, fuck. But I don't. It was like that was just my first thought, and I'm like, there's not a whole lot of wisdom in that.
It's just exclamation.
Yeah, it's just it's like hit ground with rock. But just do what you can, the best that you can, all the time, and you know, like with that, it's not like the thing where it's like grind your face off, but it's like if you're tired, do the best that you can do while being tired. Like,
Yeah.
don't do the best you could do if you were, not tired while you are tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, simple thing, and I'm like, all right, let me explain.
I love that.
Yeah, but
I love
yeah,
the way
just
you
like
approach that.
yeah, just kind of do it.
Just do it.
Do your best. Yeah,
Yeah.
just do it.
Just do
Yeah, yeah, just keep doing what you can, the best that you can with what you can. As much as you can.
Gotcha. So this next one is one I was writing. I wasn't sure if I should ask it, but I think it's good because I'm not going to be able to ask many other artists about this. But what I've taken away from some of the artwork accompanying your music are themes of extraterrestrial life.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on like the Fermi paradox and our place in the universe and life itself?
Love the question. Great question.
Thank
you. I with like going back to the other thing I said, it's like I do believe in like aliens, or I mean, like I feel like it's more probable that there are aliens than not, but also it's like I feel like with the collective consciousness or whatever, it's like it is all just one life. So the point of life is to live, and it's like that's just gonna like exist.
It seems life finds a way in the most incredible conditions as well. Like we see like our tardigrades and stuff, and it's like this thing on Earth, we shoot it out in space. It's like, yeah, I'm chill. I'm just gonna go take a nap real quick in the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
And just be fine.
And I also feel like with aliens and whatnot, like I feel like we put a lot of expectation on aliens, that they're gonna be like these green things or
humanoid at all.
Yeah. And it's like, what is it? Technically what like fungus is like aliens in a way.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're kind of already living with aliens.
Yeah.
And
Fungi are pretty crazy that they can talk in like these neural networks underground and like forests like many miles away, and like they can tell them about certain weather conditions before they arrive. Like that is just next level stuff that I can't even begin to understand.
For real. And so it's like I feel like we're not alone just with just that alone. And also it's like I when it comes to like aliens and stuff, I always think it's like funny in a way.
Yeah.
And I do think that like people tend to get like scared about thinking about it, or like that it's like a lot of like the terror or like anything with aliens. There's like just us kind of like putting like what humans would do.
Yeah, we project ourselves onto what we think. Well, aliens if they would probably come here and want to build a Walmart on Earth or something and just wipe us all out. It's like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, and if they're anything like the fungus, it's like, no, dog, they're just trying to come here to talk to each other underground.
Yeah, for real.
They're trying to warn each other about storms. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Trying to live a simple life.
Yeah, a simple life. A fungi life.
Yeah. They're just trying to have fun,
Yeah, they're just trying to party while they're here,
Yeah, there's not much room for anything else.
They're killing it with the puns today.
No cap.
God damn. All right. So, moving to a new direction, I asked Dom B this question. I knew I had to ask you the same one. We live in such a evolving world. Wonder what you think about this. In 1953, Ray Bradbury wrote Fahrenheit 451, and by proxy invented in-ear headphones from what he wrote. And some guys from Apple read the book, and then they came to him with a prototype, and thus in-ear headphones
Yeah.
exist. Do you think we still live in a world where somebody like Ray Bradbury can not just reinvent the wheel, but discover or invent something that we will come to see as fundamental to music,
Mhm.
either in how it's made or how we engage with it that we had no concept of before?
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's like the thing. It's like everything's moving forward, you know, with music and well, I mean, just like technology in general. It's like we're not like moving backwards,
Mhm,
and it's like even if we're like creating things that aren't like deemed uh like useful or like groundbreaking or
mhm.
something,
Or
it's
like
like it.
part of the fundamentals of it, like
Yeah,
something that we see is like, "Oh, I can't believe we didn't record music like this before. I
yeah.
can't believe we didn't perform music without this thing that we
Hmm.
haven't even we don't even have a concept of." Like,
Yeah.
I mentioned to Dom like maybe like being able to record our consciousness
Hmm.
directly into the DAW and be like, I can't believe we were doing it the other way before
Yeah.
so long, and
I
it's something that changes it fundamentally.
I talked about that, like, literally right before coming over here because I was recording with my friend, and I got this new microphone, and I was like, "Yeah, this one's really nice, like, you don't actually have to sing in front of it, like, just let me click record and it'll just
Read your
happen."
thoughts.
Yeah.
That's a great microphone. That's a very sensitive microphone,
Yeah,
though.
I know,
Gotta make
right?
sure your neighbor 2 houses down doesn't have their air conditioner on, or
Yeah,
else you'll
right.
read their thoughts.
Mhm. It's like, "Why did we record, 'It is 67 degrees in here'?"
Yeah. I love that.
But, yeah, I feel like it is possible. I mean, because like, I mean, if you think about it, like, just like in the digital age, it's like, recording onto a computer was something that they weren't thinking about a long time ago. I mean, they might have been
True.
thinking about it, but it would be like, not feasible. But then
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, it's like, yo, infinity tracks.
Yeah,
Oh, we,
actually, infinite just as much as you can, put on there.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, this is a game changer. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, I do think that something like that would happen. I don't think that I would be the one that would invent anything like that.
Mhm.
I would support it.
Yeah, you just support. You'd be like, I see you.
Yeah, I'm
I see
like,
what you're
oh
doing there.
yeah, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's cool. That's a sensitive microphone.
Yeah.
What i- is there a great new innovation that you'd like to see? Is there something that you've been like, "Oh, I want this," or something that you can that a new innovation that you'd like to have, or something that you think about, like, "Oh, it'd be nice if we had this, but we're not quite there yet."
um, I mean, just in like, are we talking about music
Yeah,
or
just
just
like
like in
quality of
general?
in when how it relates to music, but also in
Mhm.
general too. Just like quality of life
Yeah.
stuff for like music recording or performing,
Hmm.
or if you want to just go in general, we can go
Yeah.
with that.
I mean, I just feel like anything that could help, like, just like make more, what is the word? I use this word all the time, but now that I'm gonna go say it into a microphone, I'm like, and it's not even a crazy word either. Sustainability. There it
Mm,
is. Yeah.
there it is.
Anything to promote sustainability,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
because I feel like, we have finite resources here. Um, even though, everything is everything and
Yeah.
everything's infinity or whatever.
Mhm.
In this physical realm, it's like, we can only burn so many things on this planet before
Yeah,
before we
absolutely.
run out of things to burn.
Be great to just buy like a laptop or an audio interface and be like, that's the one you use for the rest of your life. And
Yeah.
it's like you can just change something in it, like
Mhm.
like a computer where it's like you can maybe change out the RAM or something, but eventually you have
Yeah.
to change out the whole thing, and then it's a shame that that goes in the trash. It's like that's kind
Yeah.
of wild.
And even like you have to like put in a lot of work into like recycling for it to be like, you know, actually doing something good for the earth.
Yeah, no
It's like
kidding.
it's
Yeah.
almost got to be like a part-time job devoted to that, and it's like
Mhm.
just anything to like, take care of the earth and us and, the mushrooms that are
Mhm.
warning people about storms under the
Yeah,
ground.
we gotta protect them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
our local aliens.
Mhm. Exactly.
Um, yeah. I don't, like I was saying with the other thing, it's like I don't know what it would be, but I would
Mhm.
like to see it.
Mhm.
And yeah, just that's like my main thing with like just trying to move things forward is like, all right, how sustainable is this? You know,
Hmm.
because um, there's a lot of things like that we be doing that's like, all right, this is cool, but it's only gonna last the X amount of time if we're
Hmm.
burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure if that answers the
It
question.
does. It does. So, you'd like to see more sustainability as part of a quality of life improvement when it comes
Yeah.
to life in general, and also music stuff.
Hmm.
Repurposing
Yeah.
and taking less from our sources and kind of using what we have already, and kind of
Yeah.
yeah, and having better recycling processes is also huge because yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's a lot that goes into it, and we don't really get as a big as return back as we'd hope
Yeah.
right now.
Definitely.
So this question is very personal one
Hmm.
from me. As somebody who uh, I play a lot of instruments as well,
Hmm.
lots of hours editing.
Yeah.
How do you keep your wrists from turning to dust?
Oh man, this is yeah. So I actually have carpal tunnel in both hands,
Yeah,
and going back with the sustainability and
we only got the
everything.
one, the wrists.
Yeah, it's like I
We get the pair.
yeah, for real. There's a lot of things that I do to alleviate wrist and just like general arm like fatigue and
Hmm.
like taking care of it. Like one CBD oil, I'd notice like the actual oil,
Hmm.
when you like apply it under your tongue, tends to do the best.
Like a tincture, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, or like really high, like if you're doing like the gummies, the CBD gummies, like it being like a pretty high dose
Hmm.
of CBD, I've noticed that that helps. And I sometimes take it before I go to sleep. And then, like, the biggest thing is sleeping on your back, not sleeping on your side. If you
Mm.
sleep on your side, you're cutting off blood flow.
Ah,
And that
I
is,
sleep on my side all the time. Darn
yep.
it. I need to stop that.
Yeah, you gotta stop.
Yeah.
You have got to stop.
Yeah, I got you.
And also, like, I do sleep with braces on
Hmm.
too to
I
keep
do
my
too.
wrists straight. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you can be tossing and turning in the night, and then just be like sleeping like that, and then
Oh,
you
yeah.
can be sleeping on your arm like
Mhm.
that, and then
Yeah.
it's like, I can't use my hand for anything.
Yeah.
Um, and then stretching, doing stretches that like stretch the nerves in your arms.
Mm.
um One of them I like if you go into a doorway, just like leaning into it, putting your foot out, um kind of stretches your chest, but it's like that's the beginning of the nerve that is at the tips of your fingers and
Mm.
whatnot. And um drinking a lot of water,
Yeah.
staying hydrated
Yeah.
helps
I'm
with
sure like staying in tune with your body, as you said,
yeah.
really listening to your body. I feel like that's
Mhm.
such underrated advice is
Oh,
listen
yeah.
to what your body's saying because we
Mhm.
tend to ignore and dole out things of that our
Yeah.
body's saying by taking like I'll just take an ibuprofen instead of like just instead of
Yeah.
addressing the thing that's causing the headache or the pain
Yeah.
or the inflammation. It's like
Mhm.
instead of addressing, we just kind of put cures on it or just temporary
Yeah.
fixes on it or like
Mhm.
so really just listening to your body. And I
Yeah.
definitely had those times where like it like I've done this the on my back this the they call it the sarcophagus. So I just go like
Mhm.
this with the
Yeah.
with the two braces on and just
Yeah.
like sleep on my back like
Mhm.
that. But I should probably just do that every night and just
Yeah.
because it can get it can get rough with the
Mhm.
wrist pain.
And I noticed too a way to make it easier, like, and you're like killing like a bunch of birds with stones and stuff, where
Mhm.
or you're killing a bunch of birds with one stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like meditating to fall asleep
Mhm.
and putting your braces on, laying on your back
Mhm.
and getting your whole body relaxed. So it's like you don't want to toss and turn. And then also it's like you're putting yourself in the position to, you know, bring blood flow and stuff to your hands, like,
Mhm.
cuz like, doing this, you can take it out of your hand, like if they're like elevated, it's like, your blood, it's like it's not going to be like too like crazy like if you're just holding your hands like this all the whole time, but it is like with them by your side, it's like
Mhm.
even it all out. And yeah, and then you're also practicing meditation, and
Yeah.
and then when you meditate to fall asleep, a lot of times you can bring that awareness into your dreams and
Yeah.
then lucid dreams. So it's like a way of taking care of your mind and body.
Yeah.
But yeah, eat your vegetables too.
Eat your
Like,
vegetables.
eat your damn vegetables.
Eat your damn vegetables.
Because it's like, that helps your hands a whole lot. Like, not eating bad food, because it's like, you know, eating bad food can also like clog your arteries, and then
Mhm.
that restricts your blood flow. And it's like your wrists need blood to
Mhm.
function properly. And taking breaks, um using them all the time, and yeah, stretching them out, not overstretching them either.
Mm.
And if you're feeling irritated, like if your wrists are irritated, yeah, just like taking more like anti-inflammatory stuff
Mhm.
than like just like a pain reliever,
Right, right.
because I
Like
think I can't remember I think it's like Tylenol is just like a pain reliever, and it's like, okay, you might not feel the pain, but
it's not anti-inflammatory.
yeah, it's like what's causing you to
Yeah.
feel pain is still
Need
existing.
your ginger and turmeric, and so
Yeah.
you can get your natural anti-inflammatory
Mm-hmm.
stuff going on.
For real. Cayenne pepper
Cayenne
too.
pepper, yeah, that's a really good one.
Yeah. Like a lot of times when I cook my food at my house, like I'll start, like, it almost doesn't matter what I'm cooking. Like, I'll start the oil up and put turmeric and black pepper
Mhm.
in the oil to, like, you know, I forgot what the word is, but it's like, gets them knowing each other. And
Yeah.
then you cook your food in that, and then all your food,
Like, yeah,
like,
glazing or something like
mm-hmm.
that, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, this is a little tastier and also a lot
Mm.
healthier. And wow, I can play guitar for 10 hours tomorrow
Mhm.
and not like completely die.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess what do you usually find yourself like when you're listening to your body? I talked to Simile about this, and
Hmm.
he has a really deep connection between the food he eats and the creation process of
Yeah.
music, and he really sees a oneness with that. Like,
Yeah.
where have you found yourself going with your relationship with food with
Hmm.
when it comes to this, because you can either
Yeah.
go one way, which is the easy route, which we
Yeah.
see, it's like, and it's a downwards hill, and
Yeah.
you start eating fast food, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Like, where have you kind of landed with your relationship with, like,
Hmm.
food, especially in such a chaotic
Yeah.
lifestyle, where it's like,
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm gonna be up for the next 3 days, or if I'm gonna have no gigs for the next two
Yeah.
days or like, so yeah, where do you land on that with, like, your diet?
I do try to eat very well, as well as I can. Like, I'd be lying if I didn't say that, like, I still go to like fast food every once in a
Hmm.
while, but like, um I do try to keep coconut water at the crib.
Hell yeah.
Coconut water is really good, electrolytes,
Hmm.
thorough hydration,
Yes.
and then, like, making sure I'm taking a multivitamin. I do take the women's multivitamins
Hell
because
yeah.
they got biotin in it.
Hell yeah. It's a good
That's
stuff.
like the main difference between the men's and the women's is biotin, which is
Hmm.
interesting. It's like, yo, I would like my hair, skin and nails
Yeah.
to receive
Yeah, some
shit.
nutrients within it.
Yeah.
Men are like, I don't need that stuff.
Yeah, like,
That's
I'll throw some oil on it.
yeah.
I'm a
Exactly.
man.
Exactly.
I don't need biotin. I need mud.
Yeah. Right.
But
Some mud on it.
yeah, just throw a fresh coat of mud on that.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I do eat a lot of spinach. Like, I have like uh I did a thing to like not eat as much potato chips, as like I would start eating spinach with my potato chips and then
There you
slowly
go.
eat less potato chips. But now it's
Yeah.
like I get the like same fixation and like mental stimulation from eating potato chips as I do. I just eat raw spinach a lot of
Hmm.
times. Uh I feel like I freak people out when I do that sometimes. They're like, "You're just eating it out of the container. I'm like,
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
You do learn to appreciate the earthy kind of taste of it.
Yeah.
And like you definitely come to prefer it over the salty chip.
Yeah.
You know, after a while, you're like, oh, I kind of want this thing more.
Yeah.
Like, is coming back to being in tune with your body. Your body's like, I kind of mess with the spinach stuff.
Yeah.
Like the chips, like maybe get like a stomach ache or
Yeah.
you get like these symptoms.
Literally.
But you don't get symptoms from like eating spinach except maybe fullness and maybe just feeling it, like a bit better. Yeah.
For real. And so it's like, it's like I'll eat the spinach and then I'm like, wow, I can see better right now. Yeah, my main thing when it comes to food, though, I need to get better about the frequency of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like I do eat really healthy, like the majority of the time, but then it's like I don't frequently eat.
Yeah.
Like, I like to be like, yeah, it's like I intermittent fast.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I'm not eating until like
Yeah.
this time of the day. But yeah, I do try, like if I'm like when I'm at like doing like a festival over the weekend, I do try to like bring like, you know, like nuts or like bananas.
And you got to
or,
bring
like,
your own to those things because there's not going to be a lot of options that are going to make you like show ready. You know, it's kind of like, there's a lot more red flags out there. With those shows.
For real. So it's like I do try to eat because it is like a thing where like what were you saying? It's like, man, I got a headache, and it's like, do I have a headache like because like something's wrong, or is it because I haven't eaten yet?
Right.
And then I'm like, yeah, I should probably eat something.
And instead of taking the Tylenol.
Yeah.
I just have a headache. I'll
Tylenol
just
on an empty stomach.
Yeah. And so your body's like, oh, great. Here we go.
It was like bullshit.
Love this.
Yeah.
I was sending you a clear message, but you interpreted it totally wrong.
Yeah. It's like
you just heard headache, and that's where that ended. For you.
It's like, hey, put out this fire. Put gasoline on the fire? Okay, got you. Yeah. No!
Well, thank you. I love that. What would you say to a young person, and we'll say a young person in Louisville who is trying to break through into the music scene and is trying to be heard, and maybe is finding that they're struggling a bit, maybe just because they're younger and all the shows they want to attend are 18 plus or 21 up, and what would you say to a young person discouraged who is trying to find their place to be heard in a city that, you know, we live in like it's like one of the smallest big cities, but it's still a city. And so it's different when you're in your hometown, you know, and everybody seems to get a chance, it feels like. But what would you say to a young person who feels that way?
Yeah, be very careful about it, but get a fake ID.
Okay, there you go. I did some of those when I was a kid. I'm never the fake ID, but they would just sneak me into the back. I'd play the set, and then they'd sneak me out before anybody knew.
Out. Yeah, it's like all those things. It's like, you know, because it is like, you know, with like music and stuff, it is like a lot of like, you got to be quick with movements, and if you can learn how to still get into these places, you know, that's training in, you know, what is the word? It's like I want to say tomfoolery, or like,
I like that one,
or like being a hooligan or whatever. But it's like you're figuring out some stuff like that, because it's like a lot of stuff. It's like from the very beginning looks like defeat, you know.
Yeah,
and you just got to challenge it, you know.
Absolutely.
Safely though, but also like, you know, like I said, be careful, get a fake ID, because it's like anytime you take a risk, you do have to like completely accept the opposite side of it, where it's like because like I used a fake ID growing up, like because like I was playing in bars like since I was like in high school, and it's like I had a fake ID and it happened to work, you know, and it got me into a lot of different places where it's like by the time I was able to actually go to the bars, like when I turned 21, man, there were so many people mad at me. Like, like not mad at me, but they're like, wait we've been drinking buddies for like 4 years.
What the fuck? Yeah, they had to have a conversation at one point.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Like some of the venue owners are like, you damn bamboozled all of us. Yeah, bamboozling. Yeah, you got to get good at bamboozling. Yeah, like, but like not in like a like way of like, you know, you don't want to like be like manipulating people.
Yeah.
You know, like don't get to that like where it's like put out the fire. More gas on the fire?
Yeah.
It's like, don't take...
not manipulative or...
Yeah. But just, like, playful, like, yeah, I was able to play in your venue, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, we brought a lot of people to your venue, too.
We got you... made some money off of drinks, I'm sure.
I got kind of drunk, too. But... just like, yeah, you know, you do want to be careful with it, you know, and if you are like, you know, using a fake ID to get into these places, it's like, do not be a dumbass because it's like, you know, I was like drinking at the bars and whatnot, but like I wasn't getting wasted and then like getting in fights with people or like I was trying to fly under the radar as much as possible,
absolutely.
You know, because it's like I don't want to get flagged down or anything, but also it's like, yeah, I think like nowadays they'd be like scanning IDs more places, so it's like
it's not just the eye test,
the old
feels real or whatever, you know, kind of test.
Yeah, so it's like be careful about that, but yeah, it's like try your best to get into the places you can't get into, you know, because it's like there are loopholes here and there. It's like, you know, you don't want to be annoying, but it's like, you know, sometimes there's like 21 and over shows that are just like 21 and over just because it's like easier to throw that on the poster. And it's like if you like ask the people, they're like, oh yeah, I mean, we got a kitchen, we just gotta mark your hands, you know. Where that's like the things where it's like a lot of these things be like disguised as defeat, you know. It's like you look at the poster, it says 21 over, and then it's like, dang, I can't go. But it's like, well, you can probably bamboozle your way in there.
And not everything's black and white. There's the gray bamboozle.
Yeah.
The gray bamboozle must be acknowledged.
Yeah. And then also it's like if you can't go to the thing and you really wanted to go and you can't, like, go home and practice. Get yourself more prepared for when you can go.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, you know, if you're denied an opportunity, you're given an opportunity to, like, you know, flip the script and whatnot. So it's like they're not going to let you play here. Well, it's like, okay, well, now you got a couple hours that you could spend working on the thing that you need to work on. So if you did get in there, you'd be able to, you know, win people over better. Yeah. And take as many gigs as you can until you can say no to gigs.
Right. Absolutely.
And just, know what you can do, but also get in the habit of just doing shit that's hard, because it's like doing hard shit just like, you know, trains your body to, like, when it's like shit is easy, it's like you get to like really rejoice and like, wow, it's like I didn't have to work too hard for this thing. It was like, you know, I was able to handle this, and so it's like since I was able to handle this, I had more time to spend like eating or you know, doing something that's going to help my body. But yeah, just like sustainability, y'all. Like bamboozle
and practice. If we can take anything away from this interview, it's bamboozle and practice and listen to your body. Listen to what your body's telling you. Don't mask what you don't mask the symptom. You know, don't put a band-aid. Just go to the source of what's causing the issue.
Yeah, don't just put duct tape on it.
Yeah, don't
just throw mud on it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just throw. I know as much as you want to. Now, badass it might be.
Yeah.
Put some mud on it.
Cool. Just throw mud on it. Might be.
I think that's great advice that I think a lot of young people will. I think just need to hear. You know, just like it can feel like defeat. And you just take it as that. I think that's a really good way of putting it, because it's like it's 21 and up, so it's over, you know, whatever. But it's not white and black. There is the gray area.
Yeah, it's like this is the beginning of the adventure.
Right. This is the obstacle that you're meant to overcome.
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's no way. Are you sure about that?
Exactly.
And it's like, you know, you might get defeated. Like, you might work really hard at it and still get defeated, but you gained experience and you probably learned something on the way of trying to figure it out. Like, you might have not gotten into that venue, but you might have figured out, oh, this other venue does have this other thing where I could, walk in here and
Mm-hmm.
fly under this radar or whatever,
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, anytime you do anything, crazy like that, though, you do have to like always accept if anything goes wrong,
Mm-hmm.
the responsibility for it going wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, but if you're not going to take a risk, it's like doing music in general is just a risk.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But it's also like, a way of being set free at the same time. So it's like, you got to find your freedom in it and,
Mm-hmm.
not letting the posters deny your access to a
Exactly.
good time
Agreed.
is a way to find freedom in the risk and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Find freedom in the risk. I love that.
Yeah.
That's another one. That's going on another trucker hat. We have several
That's
items
the back of the
Casey.
hat. Yeah.
We got a solid trucker hat for Casey Powell for your merch table.
Yeah.
It's gonna have like paragraphs of dialogue on it.
Yeah. Keep on trucking.
Throw some mud on it.
Throw some fucking mud on that.
That's a good one. That's definitely going on a hat.
I got that because I went to go buy a car on Craigslist once when I was in high school, and the description was like, oh yeah, it's kind of got some rust, so it needs a fresh coat of paint or a fresh coat of mud.
That's good.
He's like, you put a fresh coat of paint on or go mudding, those are your two options.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow, I will never forget this.
Yeah. Did you end up getting the car?
No, I didn't even hit him up because I was
Damn.
like, I need a car that's going to be a little better shape than this one.
Yeah. Rusted out the Flintstone
Yeah.
to work.
Yeah, but dabba, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Is there any new projects that you're excited about that you want to kind of promote or just tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm always working on stuff with,
Mhm.
because like I do have like different groups of people that I'm always, working on music with.
Mhm.
But like I am getting close to wrapping up Jordan Blaze's project.
Awesome.
We've been working on this shit forever, and
Mhm.
but it's like we've had like the final destination, in mind, but it's like just taking a lot of work to get there.
Yeah.
But it's like we're finishing a lot of it, and it's like, wow, we made it.
Mhm.
It's like, that sounds the way it needed to
Yeah.
sound. And everybody's happy with it. And then
That's awesome.
Spooky Diamonds, we're working on some stuff, and then my personal stuff. I'm gonna be dropping an album soon. I know I've been saying that forever.
I was about to say, man, we're all waiting in quiet anticipation for that album. Let it take its time.
Yeah.
I've heard Naraya talk about it. I
Yeah.
won't say too much, but yeah, I've heard Naraya say some things. I'm like, yeah, golly, yeah, that's gonna be like a life-changing record when it comes out.
It changed my life because it's
Mhm.
like when I started to record or like make it, like it was like a thing where I'm like, I'm gonna use this as my project of figuring out how to produce and record.
Mm.
I'm like, if I can make like, really long concept album for myself, I could probably make any record for anybody else,
Mhm.
pretty easily. But it's like, when I decided to embark on that journey, it's like I didn't have like songs written and I had like 2 or 3 songs written for it. Like, it's like I always write, but it's like, some songs are more like diary entries than they are like, hey, this needs to be released to people.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, I didn't own a microphone or an interface. Like, so it's like the album has kind of like been what has created almost everything that is around me in a way.
Mhm.
When that's like, why it's taking a while. But it's like also, it's like, this is going to be the only project I do like this for a while,
Mhm.
where it's like, I'm finishing a lot of like I got new stuff that's ready to go like after this
Right.
project. But I'm like, this one
It
just has to come out
It
first.
has to.
But it's
Yeah.
like all the new stuff like is happening really fast and organically and like straight to the point because of all the work that I did on the first one. But it's like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I was like, I want it all to
Right.
sound perfect. I don't want it to sound like I decided to just record
Mhm.
a record. I was like, I want it to sound like a classic record.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I had to like with all this stuff, it's like, have like no bullshit with it. I'd be like, listen to it and I would listen to it next to something else. And I'm like, this is not hitting,
Yeah.
but it's like, I had to develop those skills in
Mhm.
order to get all this stuff there. And it's like, all the shit is like pretty much there right now.
Mhm.
It's just like now mastering, which I'm like, I'm not gonna master this album. I'm like,
Mhm.
I got a friend who's really good at mastering. He's
Yeah.
mastering the album, but
Nice.
he
That's
also, I
nice.
got to pay him his rate
Yeah.
because he's
Absolutely.
really good. So it's
Yeah.
like he charges for that.
Mhm.
But uh, yeah, I don't really regret taking anything or like doing this record and like taking this amount of time because
Yeah,
it
of
is like
course.
it's not it's like there's a lot like the album is more than just it being like I'm dropping music. It's like this is
Mhm.
like essentially like my my what is it, when people like graduate from college they're like
Summa cum laude. What
yeah,
is it? Yeah.
yeah, it's like this is like my project
Mhm.
from graduating from my music
Mhm.
school that I'm the teacher at.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Magnum opus.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
and yeah, with it, it's like, I developed so many different skills through just like not like taking bullshit for
Yeah.
it. But it is like, I've had to record songs over like 7 times before and like
Mhm.
just being like, why is this mix not working? And it's like, well, I played like shit on it and
Mhm.
recorded it with a shit microphone. And it's like, of course it's gonna sound like shit. It's like shit in, shit out,
Yeah.
and just trying to be like really pure and intentional with all the decisions and whatnot. And um, exploring my sound because it's like my sound is not necessarily like a straightforward sound. It's
Mhm.
like weaves a lot of different genres together, and so it's like it's really hard to just like rein in. But it's like, yeah, after this shit is out, it's like I'm gonna be releasing music way
Yeah.
faster because I'm also gonna be working with more producers because like
Mhm.
I've been working with Jans a lot on a bunch of stuff, and it's like having him around, helps push things forward, and
Yeah.
we do the same things with each other, like Jans and Jetson. It's like, we all just be helping each other out.
Yeah.
And same thing with like all the different people that I work with. It's like we're all figuring this shit out together. And it's
Mhm.
like we also genuinely love all this stuff that we're working on
Yes.
together. So sorry, right into the
That's
microphone.
okay.
um yeah. So yeah, it's like everything I'm working on right now is like really exciting and I love it, and we're all like in a good spot too where we all know what we're doing, and that's what I feel good about. Like over the past like few years, I've really dialed
Mhm.
in how to get my sound quick and potent.
Yeah.
So um yeah, I'm just excited to see the rest of the stuff now that like I got the tools on the belt,
Mhm.
and they're the nice tools. They're not the like, oh yeah, I'm trying to use a toothpick to tear down a concrete building. And
Yeah.
it's like I got a bulldozer now.
Nice. Yeah.
I got a wrecking ball.
Yeah, and you have a workflow too
Yeah,
that you're intimate with. That's so
yeah,
important to it. Is
for
like
real.
going into it and having that I know exactly what I'm gonna do before no matter what song it is or what it
Mm-hmm.
is, I know how I'm gonna approach it without
Yeah.
just like I remember when I very first started, it's like you start and you're like, where do I even begin? I have this idea. It's like, well, no,
Mm-hmm.
we'll start with like we'll find the tempo and
Yeah.
just all the most basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious, like when you work on an album for that long, I heard you say, and this was kind of the answer to my question, is like creating a record that's timeless
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like when you're first, especially with having that much time pass by and having so much progression
Mm-hmm.
occur during the creation of
Yeah.
this album, do you ever find? Because I find it with my work, and I think every artist can relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back at something, and it could be like an album or a
Yeah.
song that you work on for a really long time, and you look
Yeah.
back and you realize that you don't even identify with that person
Yeah.
anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
or that song or that. And because sometimes it can be simply just a reflection of who you are and what you were
Yeah.
going through at that time. And
Mhm.
so, how do you, I guess, ha- have you experienced that with this record where you're like,
Mhm.
you listen to it, like, I don't even relate to that person anymore,
Yeah.
or like that experience anymore? I feel differently about this. Like, have you,
Yeah.
like, during the creation of that, have you
Yeah.
come to face with that?
Definitely. Some of them more than others, but also it's like the songs that I chose for the record are more songs that speak to me in
Hmm.
different walks too,
Right.
where it's like I have cut songs from the album for similar reasons with it where
Hmm.
I'm just like that's not me.
Yeah.
Um but um yeah, like I do try to like make things like that, I try to make it for like how I perceive the world and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of changing, but it's like, I got a rock, you know,
Hmm.
of perception at least with, my perception of myself or
Right.
whatever the
Yeah.
fuck. But it's like, yeah, I just believe in the songs a lot, but it is like,
Hmm.
uh, hearing the same song over and over where it's like, if I didn't believe in the songs, like I wouldn't re-record them so much. And it's like sometimes that it's like I do cut songs because I'm like I can start seeing. I'm like this is gonna take 50 more hours of work on this song to get
Hmm.
it to sound the way that it needs. And I have to like weigh like how much time I'm putting into it versus like how what I'm trying to say with it
Right.
too. So it's like sometimes like the ones where I'm like if I'm not really saying something profound or like, getting a specific thing across that's important to me,
Hmm.
I'm like that can just stay on the hard drive and
Yeah.
it can stay in demo form or
Hmm.
you know because it's like writing is like, just letting yourself experience yourself and letting it out and
Yeah.
doing it through a craft and it like you need it. It's like writing in your diary, it's like talking
Yeah.
to your friend, it's like it's some stuff where it's
Mhm.
like this helped me feel better with my emotions.
Absolutely.
And sometimes like when you do that it's like you can really find some like really nice stuff. And when I find something like that, like a gem within all of these, I'm like it makes it easier for me to be like continue working on it
Yeah.
through the stuff because it's like and I do try to identify that where I'm like am I putting a lot of work into something that like because it's like when you make music it is easy to be like I do like this song but it is like do you need to spend all the money and time getting it out there
Hmm.
or do you just like it, and
Right.
it's like can it be like one of your songs because
Right.
it's like you will always know all your songs or like you won't always know all your songs but your songs are like yours, in
Yeah.
a way. And it's like they are like the floating thought that isn't yours at the same time,
Hmm.
but it's like you're the one that caught it, you're the
Right.
one that has like what is it you're the parental guardian
Yeah.
of this song
Hmm.
in this realm, you
Yeah.
know? And uh yeah, it's like some songs are just like, this helped me get through this part of time, but it's like
Hmm.
maybe don't need to keep on bringing it up and whatnot. So it's like when
Right.
it comes to like the stuff that I decide to like fully record, it's usually ones that like I'm like, yeah, I'm probably gonna still relate to this song later,
Yeah.
I do like if I'm if it's a song that is like, oh, I'm probably not gonna be feeling this way in a couple weeks. I do try to like get as much work done as possible
Hmm.
if I know it's a good song,
Hmm.
just to keep the energy and the emotion into it raw and like straight from the source. And because like I do try to write everything as fast as possible,
Right.
just right. Uh, and just because it like keeps, it's like you're pulling in more from the same source instead of being like, I'm pulling in how I feel today with also how I feel this day, also
Mm-hmm.
how I feel this day. But it was like I feel like the harder ones though are like the ones about heartbreak a little bit, but then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
because you're getting brought back to those times. But then it's like if you if you're going through heartbreak again, suddenly you love playing those songs again.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like, ooh,
There's
now.
something so satisfying about writing a breakup song or a heartbreak
Hmm.
song when you're going through it, or writing a love song when
Yeah.
you're in love. It's just this visceral experience because that,
Hmm.
yeah, I use the faucet when the faucet is like
Yeah.
fully on.
Hmm.
It's like on 10 and it's
Yeah.
just
It's like,
pouring out. So
hmm.
that's just the heartbreak is pouring out of you. So you
Yeah.
really hear that blues song or the John
Hmm.
Mayer song. And you're like, oh yeah, that I
Yeah.
really feel him on this. And it
Yeah.
just, you experience it in a whole different way.
Hmm. And with that stuff too, it's like sometimes if it's like real like to the center, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna finish this song, but this might have to stay on the album. I'm like, I don't think I can just perform this one every night.
Right, yeah,
I want to
yeah,
get brought back to that spot all the time, but
yeah,
it's
oh
like I
my
do try to
gosh.
finish it to release it. But
Mhm,
it is like, every song, it's like it'll mean something different to you every day.
yeah,
You know, there will be songs where I'm like, I'm not really fucking with this song right now.
mhm,
But then it's like something happens and I'm like, oh, wait, no, I wrote this song for this moment. Now I'm
mhm,
like, now it's like I sing it with more like emotion.
mhm,
And then it's like beautiful. But it is like nice to kind of be weaving in and out of these songs because
mhm,
it's all different relationships you have with
yeah,
your art and it's always changing and they're
mhm,
always evolving and
yeah,
but yeah, I do try to wrap it back into the question. It's like try to keep if it's a song that I know I'm gonna identify with for a long time, that's usually the ones that I choose to go all the way with
mhm,
rather than like if it's something that I'm like, this is cool, but this just kind of got me through today. I'm like, I'm
yeah,
gonna just leave that on the hard drive.
mhm. Yeah, because you mentioned like you write these songs and they help you understand your own emotions,
Hmm.
but we when you're on the other side of the boards,
Hmm.
you tend to forget like this is going to help somebody else really go through their own and
Yeah.
understand their own emotions. I remember
Hmm.
like I feel like one of the greatest gifts you can do is like through music is put a song out there that makes like a young person feel less alone in their
Oh
situation
yeah.
like when you're that a younger age you can be going through something and you're experiencing these emotions and you feel like you're the only person in the world
Right.
who feels this way and then
Yeah.
you hear a song that
Hmm.
so accurately describes what you're feeling that
Hmm.
you get this you feel you this your loneliness kind of melts away and you feel this camaraderie with this
Yeah.
artist like this artist understands me and it's helping me
Hmm.
work through these emotions as they're
Yes.
working through them. I
Hmm.
think that's such a beautiful gift because like you can of
Yeah.
course help yourself through this, but like
Hmm.
and hey, the going through catching that idea in the river
Yeah.
and reeling it in and then it helping you understand it is one thing, but helping a generation of like young people like
Yeah.
understand like their own situation, especially to
Hmm.
how if it's topical or to what's going on in the world. I
Yeah.
think that's the greatest gift you can give,
For
is
real.
helping other people, especially young people who, feel alone in their situation and then they
Yeah.
hear that song because that's
Hmm.
such a powerful experience.
It really is. And I sometimes like I'll write a song that's like kind of like difficult to get out, and then like I'll get it out and then I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna have to do the full production with it because
Mhm.
of like that. I'm like, this is really helping me out right now. I'm like, if it's
Yeah,
helping me out, it will probably help somebody else out.
right.
But like, whew,
You have to keep that in
sometimes
mind.
songs are exorcisms,
Yeah,
you know?
oh man.
And it's like, I got it out of my body, but fuck, like
Now
I
I have to
have a
tame it.
relationship with a fucking demon.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, it's like I gotta go play shows with this demon every
Yeah.
night.
Have to
Like,
tame it and like
yeah,
and curate it in a way that's like aesthetically pleasing in this way.
yeah.
That's a whole nother thing.
And then people are like, man, that was a really good demon you had up
Yeah.
there. Like strung out, like, yep,
Yeah, it was pretty great.
yeah, love them.
You have got scratches all over your back, and
Yeah,
but they don't see that part. Though.
right. You get
Yeah,
punched in the back of the head and it goes, I'm hungry.
yes, exactly.
Like, of course you're hungry. You're never satisfied.
Yep,
Play me again.
yep.
Okay. But then every once in a while it's like, oh yeah, sparring with the demon is interesting.
Agreed.
You can get strong, sparring with the demon.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. And, that's a great place to kind of end it off on. Casey Powell. When I started writing this interview, I quickly realized that I'd have to narrow the questions down and the subjects by a lot if we didn't want this to be 6 hours, and so I could be more respectful of your time. There's so much we could cover, but we'll have to save that until next time. Would be an absolute pleasure to have you back sometime again now that we've covered the basics. We can.
Yeah, we covered the basics, and it's like we talked about literally infinity.
Yeah, exactly. Honey. Sour, delicious. I'm seeing a pattern there. And Forever Endeavor are available everywhere music is sold. Until then, I think I speak for all of us when I say we all wait in quiet anticipation for the full album to release. Casey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And until next time. Thank you, man.
Woo!
Great job, man. That was awesome.